You don't remember that? We were both tag teaming Lactoid and Rob Noor.
Welcome to Living Room.
Wait,
the
hold
only
on a minute.
podcast where
No,
Rashad
I
can't remember
swear-
which hosts that he knows and which
No,
ones he
I
doesn't.
swear that debate turned into like a fucking like Roman legal civil law duel between Pisco and fucking Rob Noor. So technically, I wasn't even there. If we're really being honest, like technically, I wasn't even in the debate. I was a spectator. If we're being real,
you had some good moments. You had some good moments.
In my defense, so.
In Rashad's defense, Pisco, you are very forgettable.
Oh God. Okay.
Nah, so forgettable.
That is not my lawyer. That is not my lawyer.
No, listen.
In a bad way.
It was Oh, you think I'm forgettable, Hutch?
I'm sorry.
I don't think there's a good way.
In a good way.
I'm fucking with you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to
No,
Living
but like it
Room.
was a good time, and we loved Rashad, and it's good to have him.
We're here with the usual cast and our esteemed guest, Rashad Crenshaw. Some of you may know him, and if you don't, you should go check him out. He's hilarious. We love him. Rashad Crenshaw, hi.
Hello. How are all of you doing today?
Great.
Well, so well. Snowed in. It's like so much snow, an absurd amount of snow.
Yeah, how bad is it? Because you're in the New York area, right?
2 feet.
And isn't it
Yeah,
supposed to,
2 feet.
How many inches is it supposed to be? Like 38 or something like that?
I don't know. 2 feet is 24 inches. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that
My
right?
girlfriend said that 4
12.
inches is a lot, so 28 inches sounds like a lot of snow.
Oh, zinger.
It's
Zinger.
beautiful the first night though, Pisco, right?
It is beautiful the first night. I have to say, very beautiful the first night. Give me 1 second. I have to get.
I think Pisco needs to turn off his camera and turn it back on again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little lag going on.
Oh, I lived in New York City for 12 years. It was so nice when it snowed. And the next couple of days, it sucked with all the slush and shit. But the first night, beautiful.
Why did you move?
I got old and decided I don't want to be some dude wearing all black riding the subway at like 35, angry at everybody.
Yeah, Rashad, if you couldn't tell, because you can't, Guy is actually technically old, but he still looks the same as he did when he was like 18. So, you know,
Yeah.
but he was fleeing. He was fleeing the liberal politics of New York City. That's why he went to California.
Oh, well, I'm not aging well. I just turned 25 today, so I don't look all that great myself. So, you know,
Fishing for compliments.
No, I mean, I am an old looking 25-year-old. We cope with what we have to cope with. Okay, we
Rashad,
struggle, we fight.
Rashad, can you talk a little bit about your background? How did you get? What do you do? How did you get into politics? What's your origin story?
So when I muster enough motivation and drive and purpose and feeling like being alive, I talk on YouTube. And that, you know, kind of came from me having an interest in doing political commentary when I was in high school. So it's like 2015, 16. And I was really into like the, you know, like PSYOP, like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, you know, 25, 28, 29-year-old man, Rex, high school child in college. You know, that was what I was watching. I was like watching like the Snoop Dogg like edits where like a blunt would roll into the street into Ben Shapiro's mouth and he would own like little children in college. Well, not like that. But and it was like that was what I was watching. And you know, the PSYOP worked on me when I was 15. That sounds crazy. But you know, really, you know, that's how I got into political commentary from like an observatory standpoint.
Wait,
you know, yeah.
So
What's up?
who pulled you out of the alt-right pipeline?
Well, I couldn't go full alt-right because I couldn't, you know, change my race. So at some point I had to stop. You know what I mean? It's kind of like kind of like the highway shuts down. You gotta go off a different lane at some point.
We need to talk about the glass ceiling in the alt-right.
Yeah, there's a limit, you know, there's a real limit. And sometimes that limit is racial. And when you meet that limit, you have to ask yourself truthfully, you know what I mean? Like for me, like, I was into politics around like that 2016, 2017 era. And I think like around the time, like, you know, like Richard Spencer and like the alt-right really started to ramp up, it was kind of like that thing of like, I don't know if I like where this is going. This looks odd. I'm gonna like kind of just pull away from it. And I just started like paying attention to other stuff like video games and like normal stuff for normal people at that age. And then I graduated from high school, joined the military, broke my ankle in basic training and came home and went to college for one semester. A high school friend was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? I was like, sure. like, let's do a podcast. And then like 6 months later, I decided to start my own channel and talk about politics. So it all kind of magically happened, not exactly the way I thought it did, but it did come together.
Can I ask a follow-up though? Because you said you had a certain racial component that prevented you from accelerating down the pipeline.
Yeah.
What does
black.
Candace Owen have that you don't?
Candace, honestly, timing is everything, dude. Like, you know, honestly, like that Turning Point USA stuff was like Young Money in like 2009. It was like Drake, Nicki, Ty. It was like the craziest. It was like the Miami Heat. It was like the most stacked team ever. But it really is like timing. Like, she was older. She got to be a part of that kind of like, we're totally not racist. We are, but we're going to lie and say we're not. And because none of you are prepared to debate us, and a lot of you won't debate us, we're going to kind of grift for like a good 10 years. And Candace got to be a part of that. But I think she realizes now that that's absolute nonsense, because she's on her show now claiming that Jews were the ones who did the transatlantic slave trade, and white people were, I guess, on sick leave, or they something. I don't know where white people were, but we pray for them. We hope they were okay during that time. And yeah, that's her story, because at this point she has to do that because the right wing has gone full white nationalist. And I can't blame them, because imagine having to spend 10 years pretending to like other races. I just kill myself. So yeah.
But also it was a case that Rogan was a bit of a kingmaker in those circles back then. So, you know, I think she owes a lot of her career to that appearance that she did on his show, even though it didn't go well for her at all. She looked so silly and stupid.
Yeah, she got done pretty bad by Rogan. I mean, she doesn't. I don't think
What
she
happened
has, like,
on that?
She was it the climate change stuff that she was like talking
Rogan
shit about?
pushed back, and like one of the few times he ever pushed back is like weed, and like if you're so stupid that you make Rogan feel smart, like he'll argue with you, and she was one of those.
Yeah,
she wasn't deterred by that though. She's as confident as ever. And by the way, like, I admit when I'm wrong. Like, I thought she was wrong about Erica Kirk, and then like the videos leaked, and then I was like, well, shit, you know. So she's got her moments where she's right. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say that she was right about.
Wait, what do you think she's right about with Erica Kirk?
That Erica
What's
Kirk
she right
probably
about
probably wasn't a fan of her own husband. I mean, I don't want to speak. I don't want to say, you know, I don't want to, you know, be that guy. But I mean, like, how many, you know, it gets to a point where it's like, damn, Charlie, nobody loved you, man. I didn't love you.
People grieve in different ways. I'll say that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When
you
the
know
money's
memes?
rolling in, you know.
I mean,
One of the memes of like Erica going. I don't know if I'm lagging. Sorry. Am I lagging?
Your camera is definitely lagging. If you have you turn it off and turn it back on again.
Damn.
All right, I'll try to do that in a second. But I just want to say the whole like going and you know, the celebration after Charlie Kirk had died, and it being almost like a WD event, that did feel a little bit odd to me. And some of the phone calls afterwards did feel odd. That said, I don't want to say that I know a perfect way to grieve in that situation.
Oh no, Pisco, let us know, man.
But there have been. No, it was fucking it was a little sus to hear the call where she's like, and projections are great, the numbers are awesome on all of our merch.
I didn't want to do the hand rubbing thing because that's fucked up, but she was basically in the corner of the room rubbing her hands like Birdman.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I was like, you know, people grieve in different ways. Even the fireworks shit, it's like, you know, that's like what TPUSA is, and so, you know, it's kind of weird, but whatever. But when I saw that video that you're talking about, Pisco, where it's like literally like 5 days after he died or something, like 5 to 10 days, it's like within a week. And she's like, I'm excited to say that we smashed our projections for the merch. Like all that was like, okay, this is strange, and I don't think I can defend this.
Yeah, dude, she was doing like full on, like, you know, like Randy Orton entrances, and like, I mean, with all due respect, like, I mean, by the way, you know, people don't acknowledge the fact that a lot of those marriages on the right wing are arranged. They are not normal. Not to be like a conspiracy theorist pointing at the whiteboard going crazy, but like, it is true. And I tried to be charitable too, because I'm like, okay, the lady's husband was just murdered, so let's not attack her, right? But then like the calls for like the Turning Point USA calls, like, oh my God, the merch sales, like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, I think Charlie was unloved. And
but it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that either. It was her speech afterwards. She's like, my wailing cry will echo like a battle cry across the world. Like, it was this almost pseudo diabolical speech, and kind of do the same thing that like a lot of the conservatives do still now, which is like, they killed Charlie Kirk. They tried to silence him. and kind of ascribing a collective guilt for his assassination.
You know, that ties into like an important topic that I think we'll probably come to at some point. But like, it's funny because I was watching Spencer and Fuentes talk about this, and something that never occurred to me. And I pride myself on being like the strategic, leftist. It's like, we got to kill him here. But the reality is, like, Charlie Kirk got boomed and the right fucked it up, in part mainly because of Candace. But instead of them coming after us, they actually were like this, and we didn't really have to lift a single finger. And it is weird that like you would think that like it would have become like this big culture war thing, but actually they've been destroying each other in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yep.
She channeled the spirit of Maximus Decimus Meridius in that from Gladiator in that speech that she gave Pisco.
Yeah.
Like what we do what we do in this life echoes in eternity, and it's all about like avenging his murdered wife.
We were talking about the debate where I met you, Rashad, and Rob Noor. One thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was when I heard Rob Noor, and other people say this too, say something like, and you're kind of alluding to that idea right here, which is like, we squandered the opportunity offered by Charlie Kirk's assassination, as though what we would want in the aftermath of his assassination is some kind of broader crackdown on like liberals in terms of their freedoms, even if there's no connection between them and the death. So I absolutely agree that if that's the sense in which they mean like squandering opportunities or whatever, that they did squander a lot of it and they're fighting amongst themselves. And I actually think overall it's worse for their movement because Charlie Kirk was such a unifying figure for them and was like a social cohesion glue almost. But yeah, I think that they're kind of like a chicken with their head cut off after what happened. Sorry to use that pun specifically.
Why is it always Jesus Pisco? Why is it always the children of like conservative families, bro? It keeps fucking happening. The would-be assassin from Mar-a-Lago yesterday, who apparently jumped a fence at Mar-a-Lago and got like he drove for 20 to 40 yards.
Yeah, right. Isn't it weird that you haven't heard about it, Pisco? Like this used to be a thing, and now it's happening so frequently that we're just kind of like, it's Monday.
He made it 20 to 40 yards.
There was another assassination attempt?
Yeah, that was like, it was. You didn't know about it.
You didn't hear about it?
Yeah, like he was at Mar-a-Lago. He pulled up to Mar-a-Lago, was like, let's have a showdown, and they killed him.
Yeah, the guy got killed out at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
and his parents are big Trump supporters, and they were super into like Epstein and QAnon stuff, I think.
Lord have mercy, dude.
Sad too. He's like 21 years old, whole life ahead of him. Always heartbreaking because that's just something went wrong there. You know what I mean?
That does scare me. Like, what happens to MAGA when like the myth breaks? Because like he's working hard to break the myth, and like people can pretend like this is like evidence of some kind of revolt. It's just crazy he's trying to take him out. What happens when like the bigger MAGA, not even the cult, but like the normies who are keeping the cult alive? Like, where does that go? Because I worry about that. I don't feel like we're getting the normies, and it kind of ties into like the thing going on with the hold on a minute here. Let's see.
He does have a whiteboard. That's what he's looking at right now.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that, but there's a lot
of
of red string off camera right now that we're not seeing.
Yeah. What did Soy Pill tell me? Oh yeah, DNC Autopsy. Thank you, Soy Pill.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into this.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, again, I say, how are we going to reach these normies? Because, they say that a part of why Kamala lost, which I think is true, a part of why she lost is Gaza. A part.
Well, when you say a part, what you mean is it's exclusively that topic, and this article headline confirms all of my priors, right?
Yeah. No nuance required. No nuance or analysis required. Conversation over. And I think great stream, guys.
Because that's what I'm seeing everywhere. All the comments are just retweets with no analysis of what's actually in the article. But sorry, go ahead, Guy.
How high on the list do you think Gaza was, though, when it comes to why Kamala lost? Because for me, it's like 5, 6, maybe. I think it's, economy, inflation, immigration. So I'm curious, Rashad, how high on the list do you think it is? I
was gonna say 6, 7, but that's fucked up to say about like a genocide. So we're not gonna go with 6, 7.
That was such a
I'd say-
Trumpism, Rashad. I'm not gonna call him Little Rocket Man. I
Oh,
would never
yeah,
call him
like-
that.
Yeah, I could say
Oh,
that
no.
Sneeko is the reason why the song was played, but I'm not. But it was Sneeko. I could, I don't want to be that guy, but yeah, I'd say it was like 5. I'd say it was 5 because like Americans are not as altruistic as we should be. I don't think people were that like concerned, and I also think that like people want to see what they want to see. The anti-genocide leftists who called it from the beginning want to say, see, we were right from the beginning. And if Kamala had went full anti-Israel, we would have taken it home. That is not really the case. I think people also forget the fact that Biden tried to hold out longer than he should have. Kamala was never really popular, but managed to gain this weird magic the moment she stepped up against Trump. And, Tim Walz was told to stop calling people weird. I mean, like, there are so many different things going on here. And I think people see what they want to see, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have the text up. I can't share this because it's on a different. I didn't pay for Axios, but the point is, I think it says. Can I read it verbatim? Have you guys read it?
I've read it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially it says like, yeah, they agree it was a net negative, but to what factor this was a net negative is like a completely different thing. And so like this is barely more deep than any of the kind of surface level analysis we've got in the past year, but it does confirm that they seem to know like this hurt us a little bit at the very least. It could have been a lot, but how much?
I think they're just making it worse by hiding this. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
It seems ridiculous. Like, just release it. And they keep saying, well, we don't want to cause division within the party. We've litigated that already. It's just making it worse, man. I don't know what they're doing.
They wouldn't have backed themselves into a corner if they had not previously committed to releasing the autopsy. If they never would have done that, then this wouldn't be an issue. But they signal ahead of the study or the autopsy that they would release the results. And then they do the study. And then after the fact, they're like, never mind, we want to focus on winning, which that just creates like such a Streisand effect. And I'm totally incredulous at the idea that they didn't fully expect that it would leak. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not, we're not dealing with, a CIA, like closed operation here. These are like DNC staffers. Many of them are probably in their 20s. Many of them probably have their own like strong ideologies. And this idea that it wouldn't get out is fucking ridiculous. They should have just ripped off the Band-Aid.
We still don't have the files. We just have allegations, right?
Well, like a part of it leaked, right? But like when you actually read the article, one thing is clear. So the headline of the article was that, I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Democrats working on secret report found Gaza cost Harris votes.
Right. So that is the most uncontroversial headline I've ever read in my life. Everybody knew this like during the election. And then you read the article, and basically the substance is that they spoke with what they said was hundreds of different activists and advocacy groups. And one of those groups was this group called IMEU, which is, advocacy for Middle Eastern stuff and a very pro-Palestine group, I think. And, they say that the DNC shared with them that the Gaza issue was a net negative for Harris, meaning that it like lost her votes. Nothing in that article, like there was nothing new in that article whatsoever, but a lot of people were quote retweeting the article saying like, this proves everything we were saying the whole time. And like at no point in the article does it say it cost her the election. It doesn't explore like potentially, which I think is a relevant question of, how many votes would she have lost if they would have endorsed a policy of like alienating Israel or doing an arms embargo? Like that's never factored into the analysis, but people drew their own conclusions from this headline for sure.
Yeah, it's basically the younger voters were hesitant to vote for Kamala or didn't come to turn out because of Gaza, which we already knew. And like, I guess the newest thing we know is the DNC is admitting this to a degree slightly more than they already kind of considered it in like the 107 days book, right? So yeah, I'm fine with analyses of like what Gaza as an issue did to the election, but this is being taken as like, and see, we finally figured it out. Like they finally admitted they tried to hide this, and it's like, well, maybe, but we don't know. They're not releasing it, but that's not what this article says.
Yeah. I mean,
on the issue of the. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, it just speaks to the bigger issue of the fact that like, the Democratic Party is all out of weapons. It's like you run out of fucking ammo in GTA. I mean, what do you like? What's your next move? Like, I mean, it's besides when you can't even use those, right? Like, the Democrats are basically, they're in a fucking gunfight with a pencil, and they're sitting around begging everybody else to put down the guns. And it's like, well, no, pick up a gun. Like, well, no, not like that. But the point of what I'm saying is like,
this is the Fed posting stream with you.
Yeah, this is the worst.
You said a lot of
you guys' worst stream, but you show up to war, armed with like a journal, like, you guys want to talk about your thoughts? Like, no, they're trying to kill you. So the Democrats, like, I'm seeing like Gavin Newsom interviewing Ben Shapiro, and he's like, so like, tell me about when you learned how to play the violin. Like, what was that like? You're asking him about playing the violin after 10 years of building up Trump. That's your question. And then Ben grabs Gavin Newsom's conversation and steers it toward Renee Good and is like, well, you don't believe ICE are, domestic terrorists, see you? You didn't mean what you said on your press secretary account, did you? That was wrong, right? Yeah, that was just, that really just wasn't a reflection. Yeah, and then it's like, oh my God. It's like, we're cooked. We're totally cooked because between Kamala, who's probably going through it mentally after losing to, the delinquent Diaper Don, and then Gavin, who's just trying to hope that his good looks can get him to the fucking White House. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Honest to God, Damn. And it allows articles like this to seep in and say, well, if we had just, thrown caution to the wind, we would have won. It's like, well, I don't know if that's true, but, it speaks to the fact that the Democrats are out of steam.
Yeah, Guy doesn't like the Dems aren't fighters narrative. You push back, Guy. Yeah, I know you will.
I'm gonna fight you on Gavin. Okay, he's what is it? Maxing whatever. I don't know. Looks maxing. Okay, he's mogging people.
Does he have to look max? He's kind of like boring good looking.
Look, he's. I think he's a successful governor. He's implemented some good programs here. You got the 4th largest economy. Whatever. You've heard this all before, but. Are you in the Hassan camp, Rashad, of I would not vote for that guy if he was the Democratic nominee in 2028?
No, if it came down to it, I'm voting for Newsom.
Mm-hmm. But you're not enthusiastic about him.
No, I think Gavin Newsom's just going to delay the MAGA problem for people my age and your age to pick up and clean up for him.
Interesting. Well, who's at the top of your list right now then?
Honestly, I'd love to rerun Kamala, but Kamala has to want it. I don't think she wants it. Say what you will about Trump. He's a pedophile. He killed people. He's killing people. Some they say true, and some is true. But the reality is that he never gives up. Donald Trump does an insurrection. 2 weeks later, he's like posting on social media like nothing happened. Kamala's, not trying. She doesn't want to be back, in my opinion.
Wait, we got to push back a little bit there. I think the purpose of her writing the book and doing this book tour and extending the book tour, I think she's very clearly signaling that she's going to run again.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Like the book
not
tour,
meeting the moment, right?
Yeah, the book tour
what's a
stuff.
Book tour against a Trump?
Donald Trump is on social media, bullshitting, posting insanity, but it's engaging. He's engaging the internet. He's on podcasts. He's appearing here. He's doing this. Kamala's writing books. People don't read books in 2026.
Rashad. That's why I feel that Gavin is preferable, because
he said he can't
Kamala,
read.
I see Gavin. I know that
we need
Gavin
to talk about that. That was bullshit. That whole thing was bullshit.
Wait. Can I just want to finish my point real quick. Gavin at least has what I look like the eye of the tiger. He wants it. He wants to be president. For me, there's a little bit more of a willingness to engage with the moment, at least in terms of the rhetoric. Now, is Gavin my preferred candidate? No, but I would prefer him to Kamala. I think that Kamala has shown that she fumbles around with her speech, that she isn't really a killer in the same way and ruthless in the same way that I think Gavin can be. That is like, maybe Kamala will prove me wrong in the coming months and stuff, but that's where I'm at right now.
When you say he can be, are you comparing this to like his tweets? Because like his tweets,
that's not even run by him.
That's not him. That someone's writing that for him.
No.
But I have yet to see Gavin like really be
Gavin
like,
has
like
taken,
verbally ruthless. You know what I mean?
No. The decision by Gavin to position himself, as opposed to what he was doing in the first months, which is very soft, I think, on MAGA, more understanding, more Cenk Uygur-like, to be at least signaling to the resistance libs, at least showing and saying the right words on what Trump is doing and being vocal all the time. That to me is a strong signal, and that's something that I care about. And also his decision on the redistricting. I know that he's in a unique position to do it, but
That was
lesser
good,
governors, lesser Democrats wouldn't have started it.
Well, what you just said really matters, though, because Gavin is advantaged right now in a way that Kamala is just not, because he is the governor of the most populous state in the country with a blue supermajority. So he can just like do things. He can just tell the assembly to convene a special session to, you know, put a measure to the voters to amend the Constitution to do early redistricting. So he can, you know, he can see that the public right now, the Democratic voter base are screaming for fighters, which Rashad, I watched one of your videos recently. You were talking to that, like that desire from voters to get Democrats with like a lot of teeth and a lot of fight. He can flex in that way, in a way that a lot of other people can't, which makes him kind of uniquely positioned. And I don't know if you guys saw, but Pelosi is reportedly like backing him for president, which that for me makes his stock like skyrocket, because she is a kingmaker.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Sure,
maybe
in terms of his odds. Sorry,
I mean, maybe in terms of like, I don't know, like amongst like people like us, maybe we care about Pelosi's endorsement, but like my thing with Gavin, and the only reason why I kind of lean toward Kamala, even though like Gavin is a better pick. I mean, let's just be real. He's a white guy who's good looking. That right there automatically ups him like above Kamala by a bunch of points in America, if we're being honest. However, what bothers me about Gavin is that his vision isn't strong. Like, I'm seeing you like humanize and cleanse these, you know, fascist kingmakers on your show. And it's like, how do you watch Renee Good get executed and Ben Shapiro is in front of you and you have no ability to stand down? We're talking about Donald Trump, who will gaslight you about Epstein's Island. He will gaslight you about insurrections. He will gaslight you about his involvement with Donald Trump will make an entire new reality and drag 25% of the country with him. Gavin Newsom can't even box with a political refugee. Ben Shapiro's a refugee. He ran away from the neo-Nazi right. He's trying to like go to like normal people podcasts to get a taste of sanity because he's been run out of his own party by Fuentes. Why can't Gavin be strong on a podcast? Because I was ready to die when I saw Walz fold to fucking Vance. That was unbelievable. I mean, watching Newsom fold to Vance would be, if he does that, I'm literally moving to a different planet. We say that. We say that.
He didn't do so.
No way. No way.
I don't think Newsom did so well. People talk about Newsom on DeSantis. I didn't think Newsom did so well in that debate against DeSantis. I honestly think that it was over. Yeah, I didn't think he did that well. I don't think that he is, at least from what I've seen in those opportunities where he's one-on-one with those people, I don't love how he performed. I think he's better confrontationally with like dissenting Dems than he is with the other side. I think it's a big red flag for me. That said, I think that charisma is, for me, essential. You need to have charisma. You need to be able to speak to a camera extemporaneously and say your stump speech very easily and fluidly without doing like weird pauses and stuff. And that is why I think it's important to have whoever the candidate is, that they are able to speak, and that we don't have to, like we did with Joe Biden, unfortunately, and with other Democrats that we've had, not just him, where we're like on the edge of our seat, hoping that they're not going to fuck up the next word.
But can he meet the moment though? Can he come to the American people and say, I'm bringing universal health care, affordable higher education, if not free higher education? Can I come to you with affordable housing? Is he going to come to the American people? Because the reality is, when Trump is done, as in like maybe like whenever he passes, because he's not leaving office legally, when this Trump problem is done, the American people are going to be hungry for reform. And the question is, can he be the guy to be ballsy enough to start now? Because you can't just pop up like at the very end and say, oh, well, you know, now actually I am that guy. I am the chosen one. You have to start now. People have to actually see it now, because, you know.
When you say that the American people are going to be hungry for reforms, you mean like major reforms, like single payer, these kinds of things?
Yeah, and they're going to be really hungry for these motherfuckers to go to prison. And I don't get that energy from Gavin. I do get that energy from Kamala, although she probably won't like rant and rave about it. Gavin seems like he wants these people to like him on some level. I think they did psychological damage to him over the past like 10 years of Gavin New scum. I think he's got PTSD, dude. Like, he interviews these conservatives and you can see in his eyes, dude, he's psychologically just scarred.
Well, it's going to be the American voters themselves who decide if they really do want these massive structural reforms. And the only way they can do that is by we need to do a clean sweep on these toss-up Senate races this year. And then we would somehow have to get to 60 votes in the Senate in 2028, which seems unlikely. Or the third option, which looks like there's like a little glimmer of hope, enough Democrats to vote to get rid of the filibuster, as was endorsed by a policy that was endorsed by Obama just last week when he talked to
Brian Tyler Cohen.
And so, they're the ones that are going to determine.
And by Econoboy, friend of the show, Econoboy as well.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, I mean, I don't know. I'm dubious at the prospect of getting 60 votes in 2028, but with the way things are going right now, I don't know if you guys saw polls that came out today, some really brutal polls for Trump. Like he is dipping down into the mid 30s.
But his big benefit though is he's the only king in the game. He's the only king. He's the only guy with a cult. He's the only guy with a movement. Say what you will. He's dubious. He's a liar. He's dishonest. He's defrauding his supporters. All true. No one on the left is like, we're tired of this guy. Like, this is our plan. This is our movement. We don't have a mainstream non-New York Mamdani, like somebody who's not busy serving as mayor, but has that kind of momentum to say, help is on the way. Salvation is near. We have to start building up the momentum now. And maybe, you know what? I'm open to it being Gavin, but Gavin has to actually, like, I don't get the vibe from him that he has a vision and that he genuinely wants this, not just for himself, but like, I'm a guy representing an idea, representing a vision, like Trump. Trump doesn't believe in the vision, but the way he talks, you would think he does, is basically what I'm saying.
How familiar?
Can I challenge?
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to challenge you because Mamdani and Trump got along chummy, but yet you're critical of Gavin getting along with Ben Shapiro. Why is it okay for Mamdani to get along with Trump, but Gavin not to get along with Ben Shapiro, in your opinion?
Well, it's all about perception, right? It's like when Trump condemned the white nationalists at Charlottesville. The white nationalists didn't believe it because it was the circumstances. They understood, like, he doesn't mean this. In the same sense that, like, when Mamdani goes to D.C. to talk to Trump, he can't go there and say, F you, you're a pedo. Everybody wants to see that. Everybody wants that to happen because it would be the ultimate vindication of reality. But obviously, like, he'd probably get like shipped to like a gulag on another planet. So he can't do that. He has to go there and be poised. And also because he doesn't know what Trump's approach is going to be. Trump could be stewing, ready to just crucify him, or Trump expertly realized, I'm a piece of shit. I'm the devil. I'm the Antichrist. I'm Epstein's MVP. I need to look normal and civil next to this perfectly reasonable person. That is different from Gavin on his own podcast, not needing to talk to Ben Shapiro, bringing Shapiro on, asking him about his early life like he's some kind of fucking, like, I don't know, like credit to the community, and then letting Ben wrestle the first political conversation and being like, so Renee Good totally deserved it, right? It's like, dog.
Wait, so yeah, like, I want to press you a little bit on this. I have two questions. So, like, first, did you actually watch like the whole episode with Ben Shapiro? And then the second question is, how familiar with Gavin Newsom's game in California as a politician over the last 2 decades are you? Like, are you familiar with like how he's operated politically in the 21st century?
No, he's a good governor. I'm aware his policy is great,
yeah.
But it comes back to like the conversation you guys had with Jose like about Biden. It's like the policy is amazing. But if only the American people gave a fuck about policy. It's like watching a basketball game and being obsessed with, like, did LeBron do a cool pose after he scored rather than did he score? Like, did he put up points? The American people are more concerned with, was the pose cool? Did he look cool? Did his jersey look nice? That's the unfortunate reality. And I didn't watch the entirety of the interview with Ben, but like, that beginning part,
he pushed back a lot.
That beginning part was key for me because I'm like, dude, you have a guy on your show justifying Trump allowing ICE agents to kill people and not holding them accountable. You can't go to, like, when you bring these people on, and it was like I was telling people about Kamala going on Joe Rogan. I said, if Kamala's going to go on Joe Rogan, she needs to sit down with Destiny or somebody who's a debater who can prep her, because Joe Rogan's probably not going to sit there and have a fucking like goody two-shoe convo with her. He's going to press her, and she needs to be ready to make Joe, if it comes to it. And I would prefer if she got along chummy with him. But if she has to make Joe Rogan look like a buffoon in front of the entire country, then we need to be ready to tear down all of right-wing media. So my thing with Gavin isn't that he's a bad statesman. Most Democrats are good statesmen. This is not even a debate, but the American people are bewitched by the Trumpery. I don't know, it gets fucking crazy.
Well, I would encourage.
I would talk about
ahead,
the idea that like when you're defeating like a fascist leader, like so much of it is this posture of undefeatable, I'm never incorrect masculinity. And if you can make that person look stupid, that's very important. And yeah, I resent that we have this show where all of these people read the news and listen to policy. But I think Rashad has a point to the fact that like there is no person who has captured the vibe of the left right now. Every single person we have on, we say, who is your primary ideal? There's no consensus here. If you asked, about the Mamdani race, like in July or August last year, everyone would have said Mamdani. Maybe one crazy person might have said Cuomo or had their reservations. But for the most part, like that was the momentum that Rashad's talking about that we still don't have. Gavin's not captured it yet. Kamala's not even really.
I just don't know if this maps to reality. I mean, this is the narrative online, but the results that are playing out right now electorally tell a totally different story.
But we're relying on Trump being a demon for this to happen.
Well,
imagine if Trump went in there and like acted like a grown ass adult. We'd be fucked. We'd be totally cooked. If he went in there and was like a good person, bro.
Well, I'm just saying, Mikey Sherrill was a strong candidate for New Jersey. Obviously, she won by 15 points. Same with Spanberger in Virginia. I mean, obviously, 15
right,
points.
But we have to keep in mind, Miami's flipping blue, not because these people had some kind of philosophical revelation. They read The Republic by Plato and they read Socrates' debates with Thrasymachus and they've really reached peak enlightenment. No, Trump got in and said, fuck all of you brown people. Okay, don't click that. And, they realized, oh, fuck, he's actually a white nationalist. We're cooked. So Miami had to drop the fucking delusions of conservative grandeur, not because the left has convinced America of its, political expertise. We have to keep in mind, we're suffering right now because of a right-wing information war. There is not one policy.
They're
losing because they used the information war to cover up their horrible policies, or rather their lack thereof of any policy at all. But what we have to keep in mind is that the strategy can't just be, I'm not Donald Trump. Look at how bad he is.
But that's not what Sherrill ran on, and that's not what Spanberger ran on, and that's not what
but these are low-level politicians that most people don't know about.
That's not low level. It's the governor of Virginia and the governor of New Jersey.
Yeah, but keep in mind to the American public.
But is Mamdani low level?
To the American public, say those names, and they'll look at you like, span what?
But you're focused, right? But you're focused on the online narrative. But I'm saying that online
it's
narrative
not just online. It's not just online narrative. Well, here's the problem: is this is part of the reason why we were getting our asses whooped by Charlie Kirk, and there's this kind of thing of well, what about this great policy and what we're doing for the American people and this win here, and it's why are we winning? Do people know who that is? Where is the momentum? Where is the majority of alternative media? Because we can say oh, this is online, but how the fuck do you think Trump and all of these people managed to gain the momentum they did? It was online. You can't run from this. You can't run from this.
But it's already happening is my point. They're already, so what's
happening is what I'm trying to tell you.
Hold on. What's happening right now is, or the dynamic in America right now is it's way harder to play defense when you're the incumbent party. So we talk about Trump as though he's this all-powerful rhetorical surgeon who just master manipulator, is easily moves people in his direction. But what happens both times he gets inaugurated? His popularity just slowly declines throughout his entire presidency. He's never been a particularly popular president in practice. And in fact, in this case, he's historically unpopular. And so they're already losing. We are already crushing them. There are Democrats all over the country that are running on policy. They're running on policy platforms. They're focusing a lot on affordability, sometimes through a populist kind of lens, like with Mamdani, other times through a non-populist lens like Mikey Sherrill and Spanberger. We have Democrats of all stripes that are performing extremely well all over the country. And I just feel like people got stuck in a stasis in November of 2024. And they're still kind of in that mindset where the Republicans are winning and they're crushing us and they're winning. But that's not what's happening. They are crumbling. They are literally crumbling.
You're not entirely wrong. Yeah. You're not entirely wrong. This is true. Trump wins and he shows that he's, of course, the spawn of Satan, and everybody realizes we made a mistake. The problem is Donald Trump's a slippery motherfucker. Donald Trump will show his true form and everybody will say, oh my God. And then he'll, hopefully, will, be drug out of the White House kicking and screaming. And then he goes back to Mar-a-Lago, rage posts, shit posts, splurts ketchup on the wall. You know how it is. And but here's the problem. The American people have the memory of a goldfish, and Donald Trump and his entire cacophony of fucking, cocksuckers, they have a plan. They may be, in terms of policy, conservatives are probably maybe the genetic scum of humanity. But in terms of, convincing people that if you just gave us a chance, we'll make America great again. This is a real problem. And if the left does not figure out how to snap America out of this trance, we'll be back here again.
Hold on. Sorry, can I just finish one thread and then you go, Guy? And then I just want to finish. All right, Guy, go ahead. Fine. I'm sorry. I'm bogarting. I'm fucking filibustering. Go ahead, Guy.
I just want to say we're winning by double digits right now. If I told you that, would you say let's change something? I say don't change it.
No, I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. I'm saying we're not doing enough. I'm saying that we're not covering every angle.
Rashad, this is unprecedented. We flipped Miami by 70 points from 20.
What's unprecedented is how evil Trump is. Like,
I know, but that's not going to change.
But what I'm telling you is that that's where our momentum is coming from. We can't forget what happened what happened all throughout Biden's presidency and say, well, Trump's the devil, and people are realizing he's the devil, so we're all good. Because although we can maybe win these seats if Trump decides that he's going to allow democracy to exist, let's just say he does and we do win, that's great. But like, again, we need to keep in mind, we're not just playing a game of like, can we win this seat? Can we win that seat? We're talking about multiple variables here. One, the consistency of our parties. These people have to believe in us beyond, is Trump the worst person ever?
Yeah, Rashad,
Number one,
can I tie some of these ideas back together? Because you were talking about earlier, what happens when Trump goes, right? Like, yeah, we're winning right now. Maybe we win the midterms and the general, and it's good for a time. But if we can't capitalize on that momentum, if we can't win over the same middle of the ground voters who now are poisoned against Trump, then you throw up a JD Vance, you throw up some like milquetoast looking guy who isn't as rambunctious and is evil, and they start festering again, and they're able to like make everyone forget. Like, well, I'm new, I'm different. And since Democrats didn't hold on to that base was a temporary thing and a reaction to Trump, then we lose it again. And like, I think Rashad is worried about this like pendulum swinging over and over and over again.
So I don't even disagree with you. Like, I think what you're saying is, I think on paper, correct. You need to have something that you can actually deliver for the American people beyond something that you can only pass in a reconciliation package, which unfortunately is the case. You need 60 votes to do that, or enough votes to get rid of the filibuster, which is what Obama spoke to in the interview, which I think everybody should watch because it's a really good interview. But he was talking about these like structural imbalances, like the structural imbalance of the Senate is just going to get crazier in the next 20 years. You're going to have a higher concentration of blue voters in blue states with less representation than these red states that are going to be like shrink in comparison. And then you have this archaic rule called the filibuster, which basically prevents us from doing like really big things. And so it was the case that Biden was by far the most pro-labor, progressive, pro-LGBTQ plus, like by far the most progressive president maybe ever, but certainly in my lifetime. But he can only get things done through reconciliation, which meant they have an expiration date, which meant when Trump is inaugurated, he can just get rid of it all. But even when you have the votes to do big stuff, and then I'll shut up, like Obama did, he did swing really big with the ACA. That was a really difficult bill to get passed. I know, Guy, Soy Pill, you read that book that I was telling you about, the 10-year war. So it was a crazy process getting that bill over the finish line. And then what happened? It was fucking unpopular for like 7 years. And it took Republicans coming along and threatening to get rid of it before that policy finally became popular. So it's actually not even as simple as like, LBJ, he passes his big, bold agenda, fair housing, clean water, clean air, civil rights, voting act. Like, he did the most transformative, second most transformative legislation package in the last 100 years, apart from like FDR. And what followed him immediately was like fucking 3 decades of Republican dominance in politics. And so I don't know. I don't think it's like really all that straightforward or simple or easy, but I don't necessarily disagree with you, Rashad.
Well, I think this isn't, Rashad, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is what Rashad is saying is like, yeah, you could do all that policy, but unless you find a way to market this to people in the same way that MAGA and Charlie Kirk and all these people are able to like take the worst ideas ever and somehow make a good chunk of the population on board, it won't matter that Biden passes all this amazing legislation, because if everyone just remembers, oh, he had dementia, he was old, oops, oh, we lost them all. Like all that good policy.
But also what what Rashad is saying is really important, and it's kind of like watch your hubris. Look at Labour, right? Labour in the UK, after a decade plus of horrible governing by the Conservatives, they were swept into power with huge landslide majorities, but on a very thin surface. And I think that a lot of what we're seeing in terms of, which are true, what Hutch and I are saying are true about the election results, and I don't think it's true to say that like it's just Spamberg or whatever, but I think what Rashad is saying is, yes, this is a reaction to Trump. And if you follow the polling, Republicans fare quite a bit better than Trump's polling. And that shows that Trump is dragging the party down. But there are structural problems that need to be addressed within the Democratic Party. That is reflective in their overall approval rating, that is the party itself, low approval rating of leadership. And for example, to tie this thread back, the decision not to give full information to their Democratic voter base and for people who care about what happened in the previous election loss. And so these things continue to rear their heads, as well as, in my personal opinion, weakness in the leadership front in Congress. And I think that, yes, I'm looking forward, hopefully, to a wonderful, wonderful fucking midterm and a defeat in 2028. But these demons will be back again. You need to have a plan for post-Trump, because the next Trump may not be so stupid.
Okay, when we get there, we'll do that. But what we're doing now is working. It is going very, very well.
I think that's the
what you're saying
problem.
because Trump
That's the problem, guy. That's the problem.
But he's going to keep sucking.
That's the problem. Is that
Yeah.
it's this kind of like we're like let's focus on right now mentality. And what I love about conservatives is they're playing 20 fucking steps ahead. Like people will say like, "Oh, Trump, Trump, Trump." Dude, this is Limbaugh, Savage, Newt Gingrich, fucking George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan. I mean, it's like every demonic Robert E. Lee, fucking Jefferson Davis. It's like every demonic
like the
force.
Benny Gesserit of conservatives.
And like in this, every demonic force this nation has ever seen has led to this moment.
I think
I like about Charlie Kirk that he saw into the future. He's like, man, I'm not going to sit here and like worry about like old fucking white voters. We've got them. Let's get young white voters. Let's plan so that when Zoomers are 30 something, 40 something, we've got them. Now, of course, that plan is not going to happen because Trump's the devil. But of course, we want to take advantage of the situation. Of course, we want to win. Of course, I'm not going to make content being like, don't vote in the midterms. I'm not going to say that. I want us to show up. I want it to look like America has a mandate for the Democratic Party. But we have to keep in mind, Donald Trump is just one piece of a really, really big machine, and he's a really important piece, but a replaceable piece. And we don't know who could replace him. The reality is, like, Donald Trump might not do as much damage as he could. And if he doesn't do enough, Americans might say, you know what? He wasn't that bad, because we know they've done this before.
They did it with Trump 1.
Yeah, we know this is possible. So there has to be a vision, a plan, a movement, a promise that says, hey, we are going to promise you a progressive policy, a plan that leaves behind the old order of, well, maybe I can afford my medicine this month. I don't know. Maybe I'll die. Maybe I'll live. Leaving behind that era of American politics and promising Americans that is over. If you want it to be over, come here. This is our future. This is our plan. That has to exist. And I'm not saying that we have bad policy. I don't. I firmly believe that the left is the future of America's policy, undeniably so. But the left seems to live in this reality where it's like, well, look at this good thing we did for your life. Don't you care? No, no. The American people don't care about the tangible shit you did for their life, not until their life is directly threatened. So
it sounds like you take the Pisco philosophy, because Pisco thinks that, and I'm not saying
Don't exclude me. I'm rock hard right now.
No, Pisco's philosophy is that you need to have hybrid politicians moving forward in the new social media landscape. You could articulate better than I could, Pisco, but it seems like you guys are speaking on the same frequency here.
Well, I think that the nature of the job has changed. The nature of, in some sense, well, obviously politicians always had to schmooze, always had to be putting forward charismatic and positive messaging. At least I feel that a lot of politicians in recent years have lacked that, and maybe there's something going back that is unifying all of this. But in general, I think the Democratic Party is lacking is the social media engagement, and is a new way of speaking to the voter that the Republicans, at least on some level, have. They're able to communicate like real people, as opposed to I don't know, like when I see Hakeem Jeffries giving his speech, sometimes he's quite good, to like educate a liberal audience, but then other times it just feels very fake. I can't put my finger on it. It just feels like very inauthentic. And there's some X factor there that I am looking for politicians. I see it in AOC sometimes. I see it some in Gavin Newsom and some appearances he makes of just the ability to communicate. I think it's lacking. It's found in people, even though I didn't like him as a president, Bill Clinton, Obama, these kinds of people. So I don't know if I made that totally coherent, but in general, I want the politicians to be worried a lot more about public comms and communication.
Hey, Soypo, can you turn up Pisco? I've sent you a text. I've sent you a private message.
Turn him up. I turned him up. He's at 150. Now he's at 100.
Pisco, turn yourself up a little bit.
I'll turn my gain up a little bit.
That's better. Yeah.
Is that any better? Testing 1 2 3. Okay.
Turn it down like shit.
Okay.
All right, guy. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember what I was gonna say, so I'll come back to it though.
Well, what I want to say is that I get really frustrated in these conversations because it feels like so many people overstate Republican Party strength in the last. I think it's relevant to look at in the past like several decades, and I think they massively understate Democratic strength. And obviously, the opinion polls are where they are right now, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. But I don't think that opinion polls matter more than electoral results. And to Guy's point, we are like fucking literally murdering the Republican Party right now by devastating margins. And when you look at the last like 30 years, what you see is a story of America that highlights hyperpolarization. We are becoming much more hyperpolarized, and it's causing these massive swings. But the story of the last 30 years is like a knockdown, drag out fight, like back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. If you look at if you want to just like specify the conversation to just the Trump era, we've had 5 election cycles, and Democrats have had, there's some debate about 2022. I think that was a winning cycle for Democrats. We picked up a Senate seat and stopped the red wave. That was every Republican that night was saying that they felt like they lost that night. But we've had 3 good election cycles out of 5 during Trump.
But all it takes is one bad one based on vibes in 2016 to lose a Supreme Court majority, right?
I understand.
That sets the precedent for 50, 60 years.
I understand that, but like us having a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court right now actually has nothing to do with like a long-term Heritage Foundation plan. That plan was more about like having a more direct say in what kind of judges were picked. The reason we have a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court right now, I mean, some people will say it's because Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't retire or when Obama was president. And, that's true on paper. But Donald Trump just got lucky. That was not like the fulfillment of some long-term plan. He just got lucky.
Well, wasn't it also impacted by McConnell blocking Obama's ability to?
He held a seat open for a year. Yeah, it was dirty politics.
Yeah, but I mean,
Hutch,
please go.
I was going to say, I don't disagree with like your encapsulation of the last.
Whoa, yeah, nuclear mode.
Go ahead. Don't touch a piece. I already did it.
Oh, all right, my bad. I don't disagree with your encapsulation of a lot of like the recent elections, but yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I agree that like 2022 was an overperformance. I don't know if you want to call it a win, but I'm fine with you calling it that. But they lost the ones that mattered. We lost the elections that mattered in 2016 and 2024. In the last decade of your life has been dominated by the Trumpian politics. It just has been, and the next 10 years will be spent cleaning up. The rest of our lives will be spent cleaning up Trumpian's mess. And so I think that we ought to not be planning to win by the scruff of our neck and a kind of style that we do in 2022, or win by the scruff of our neck even in 2020, right? That was a very, very close election, even though Biden won the popular vote by many millions. It was a very, very close election. So it really is important for Democrats to be in a position to have single party rule for 10 years. That's what we need to detoxify our politics. And I'm concerned. I'm so happy that you guys are right. I don't think anyone on this panel is disputing the enormous wins. We are very optimistic, though never underestimate your enemy. We're very optimistic for this election cycle, but we need to be strong for 4 or 5 election cycles.
We're gonna slaughter them.
Hutch, just to add to what Pisco's saying, right? Like
Well, guy wants to jump in. I'm
last point, guy, and then but I just want to add to this because it's like this is like both sides of the mouth sort of thing where it's like, yes, we are fucking killing rail, like Pisco said, no one's disagreeing. But if we don't solidify this as a consistent block of like, I don't want to say democratic regime, but like 4, 5, 6, 7 elections winning, then it takes one Trump win, and then like you said, now it's USAID's gone, right? We can put that back, but we can't undo the millions of people that are dead, right? Like that needs to be like we don't have room for those mistakes. We don't have room to like go back and okay, we have to undo this corruption, we have to undo the Doge cuts, we have to undo like this is like important stuff that we're killing it now, but this needs to be like 20 years straight of us cleaning the shit up.
I mean, that's easier said than done, but
I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm not happy with we're winning the midterms. I'm happy with like these people don't have a crumb of power for the rest of their lives.
Hold on. Only the Democratic Party would sit here and win by double digits and say we're fucking up and we need to do something drastically different. I mean, what the fuck, man?
Wait, we're not saying we're fucking
let him know, guy. Let him
know. Hold on. No. Like you guys are saying we need a vision for the future. We will get there. We will be able to rebuild off Trump. I mean, I'm not worried about us having some vision. Like we have the policy. We just need the salesmen. We need the cheerleaders, which is essentially what Trump is for shitty policy. And we will get there. To Rashad's point, I agree with you.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Well, but hold on. Rashad, I agree with you that we're steps behind these guys, years behind. And we will have some stumbles out the gate as we do our podcast, and Gavin Newsom's going to have some bad moments and stuff, but we'll catch up. And I think we're better. We're more talented. We have better ideas, and we're tethered to the truth, which I think is something that is respectable among us. The Republicans are liars. So I agree. Like Pisco brought up a point. This is the Trumpian era. If you want us to lie, we could box with the Republicans right now, but I don't think a lot of people want us to lie. These are bullshitters.
But guy, I think you're agreeing with Rashad, right? Rashad, go ahead right after me. But like, you're not saying we're fucking up right now. You're saying we're doing really well. There's a missed opportunity. What you're saying, we need those cheerleaders to capture those people to solidify them in our base.
Yeah, I mean, what I envision, and part of the reason why I'm not too big on Gavin, although I'll vote for him, is because I need somebody who says enough is enough. Enough of this fucking, excuse my language. Enough of this fucking like Civil War, neo-Confederacy shit. Enough. We can't survive this. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life swinging back and forth with retarded maggots. Thank you very much. I want my normal America back that I was born into, kind of. Okay. Like, can I please have normalcy back? But in order to have it back, we have to keep in mind we're not just fighting a battle of policy, because we have to keep in mind that normal people can be compelled to support absolute buffoonery. You have this guy, after he says kids and dogs, he then says we have concepts of a plan. So basically, I don't give a shit about you or your death, your inevitable death. And these people are like, that's my guy. And we haven't taken into account the fact that we will win off of Trump's, stupidity and absolute dereliction of duty and just delinquency. But there has to be an acknowledgement of the fact that Donald Trump is their avatar, their champion. However, they will move on to a new champion. It's like the Elder Scrolls. Every new, game, there's a new champion. You got to have a new champion. And they're going to find a new champion. And right now, we don't have one. And we have to play the game of the normie, the normal person who's not really left, not really right, but whoever sounds the best, that's who I'm vibing with. And I'm not saying that we don't do good things or we're not going to be able to win. We'll win. But like, I just don't want to let my guard down with MAGA, because the reality is, although conservatives are horrible at policy, the one school of politics they are amazing at is rhetoric, propaganda, imagery.
But so are Democrats,
no, that is, you're blaspheming right now. This is heresy.
What are you talking about?
This is heresy. You are heretical.
Wait. Let me put this in terms Hutch can understand. Hutch, in season 4 of Game of Thrones, when Oberyn Martell is kicking the Mountain's ass and he's pole vaulting off of him with a spear, and he's like, this is done deal. Tyrion's won, right? That's what Rashad is afraid of us being right now. All right? No, because we all know what happened to him after that.
I think there is utility in hypervigilance. And so I'm not going to fucking criticize you too harshly for worrying about the bad things that could happen if the Democrats fail to capitalize on this moment. I think that's useful. And I think that, guards against complacency and apathy. And there's a place for that, and that's fine. But I get frustrated because I feel like all the time when I have these conversations with people, they are massively overstating Republican Party strength and massively understating Democrats are bad at messaging. You got to look at the last, like, again, I think it's relevant to look at the last several decades. In the last several decades, we've had Bill Clinton, who was the first 2-term Democratic president in, like, I don't even know how long, like decades before he came around. One of the most popular presidents at the time, followed by Barack Obama, followed by Joe Biden. We won't talk about that, but he was really good on policy.
Yeah, by
Bush,
by George.
No, the point is like we're going back and forth here. Like the George W. Bush certainly was not a very particularly skilled messenger. He just got really lucky, which sounds morbid, but that 9/11 happened and there was like a big rally around the flag effect with him. And that really like artificially boosted his numbers, but he was not a particularly gifted. I mean, Donald Trump, whatever. I mean, like to us, he sounds like an idiot, but he's anyways, my point is like, I feel like focusing on this, what I consider to be a false narrative. It's like a superficial false narrative. This idea that, Democrats have this horrible track record on messaging, whereas Republicans have just been dominant. I don't really know what that's based on. And when Pisco, when you say stuff like, we lost the elections that mattered, it's like, I don't know how to make sense of that. 2018 really mattered. The fact that we had a blue wave election that night prevented us from losing the House in 2020. The fact that we had a really good night in the Senate in 2022 is the reason why we might take the Senate back in the next midterms. That happened because of like Fetterman winning and Gallego winning and Democrats like executing on a very Machiavellian scheme to elevate lunatic Trump endorsed candidates that were weak in the general. And then we ran the board on their candidates. So that to me is party strength.
I feel like so much
I can tell you what I mean. Go ahead, Rashad.
Oh, I mean, I just feel like so much of this is reliant upon Trump and his fuck ups. Like, I really do feel like if Trump actually acted like a child of God for like 10 seconds in his life, a lot of this would be harder. Like, so much of this is really dependent upon him fucking up. And there's no guarantee that Vance is going to be as incompetent. He's not going to be as charismatic. There's not going to be as big of a cult following. But we have to keep in mind, we're not talking about 2022 or 2018. We're talking about a man who does not want to leave office. We're talking about a nation that is somewhat flirting with the idea of him never leaving. Like, this is a battle of it's an information war, and it really is a war for your mind. And I'm sorry, but like we aren't winning because we're so funny and we're reaching the youth. Like, dude, half of our commentators post clickbait. You see that shit? Donald Trump shocks the entire room. Donald Trump knows it's the end. It's like not even like.
But we're running strong. We're running strong candidates all over the country.
What age demographic do you think clicks on a bullshit video saying Trump knows it's the end?
I think it's a wide variety. Listen,
that's going to be. Wait, hold on. That's going to be my dad. That's literally going to be everybody. That's going to be boomers. That's going to be young people. That's going to be millennials. It's going to be Gen X, bro.
What age demographic do you think is going to keep clicking on those videos?
Literally the boomers. Literally the boomers.
So what I'm saying is like
most of them are salivating over Josiah. Okay? Let's be
like I'm just saying, like, when you look at our messaging, how long did it take Democrats to be willing to touch the dirty, disgusting alternative libs? It took Kamala being destroyed for Biden to, can I touch Harry Sisson and not die? Like, like that's what it took. It took Trump's victory.
Oh, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. If the premise is that they're bad at engaging in social media, I 100% agree with you there. I just reject the very premise that the Republican Party is this like strong behemoth. They are a weak party. Donald Trump has made them weaker. They are crumbling right now.
I don't think they're a weak party.
Don't rest on your laurels, and I want more. We're at 80% power.
When a political party can make racism sound delicious and sexism sound amazing, and like global warfare sound like the most amazing heroic thing ever, there's a problem. I mean, you got to admit the aura is real.
Okay,
Just be honest.
Can I just here? I want you to answer.
That's a good transition into Iran.
Okay, we can switch.
I do want to respond to what Hutch said though.
Okay, I just want to ask one question. If the Republican Party, with the current leadership of Donald Trump, is so powerful and so strong, why did we pick up a Senate seat in 2022? And why did they only get like a 5-seat majority during the highest inflation since the fucking 80s? How do you explain that if they're a strong political party?
You said in 2022?
Yeah.
Off the back burner of an insurrection?
That indicates to me that they're not very strong, right?
Yeah, and then he came back and then became the president again. So
no, hang on, but by tiny margins.
Yeah,
And this was also in a climate where hold on, I'm going to say what I have to say. Hold on. This was also in a climate where incumbent parties all over the world were getting fucking demolished. Okay, Donald Trump should have won by more than what he won after the inflation that we had. That's what's happening. All the parties, all the whole world, and he barely
wasn't
won
on the
that
ballot.
election.
Hold on, you have to keep in mind though, like Donald Trump, okay, so Donald Trump he's able to kind of make people forget. Like, we have to keep in mind, like, when I say they're strong, there is strength in being able to gaslight like 300 million people, or at least get them to lower their guard. That's big. And the fact that he's been able to return, and the fact that, and by the way, the fact that he didn't go to jail is in part because of how powerful they are. So many Americans, not just hardcore believers, but in the middle idiots who think that if Biden sends Trump to jail, we're under a dictatorship. Biden, part of why he couldn't even send that bitch to jail wasn't in part because of Merrick Garland being a bitch himself, was also because the American people would have been like, well, I don't know. I think Trump's actually a great guy and Biden's actually the devil. It took Trump being reelected for people to realize, damn, maybe Unc really should have put his ass in jail. So a political party that has that big of a mandate amongst the people to where people don't even know where right or left is or where reality is.
But what mandate are you talking about?
Think about it. If Biden can't even send an okay, the dude in that guy, right? Look at the guy in South Korea. He almost got shot or fried or whatever. They were going to kill him. He got life. Donald Trump, if Donald Trump spent 60 days in jail, the nation would have been an upheaval, despite the fact that he's so obviously guilty.
But we're having a different conversation at this point.
But
like,
really not, though, because like you're seeing
talking
strength through a one-dimensional perspective, and that's the part of the reason, if not the reason, why we're losing, because there's so many different avenues of political strength, and that's part of why he's back, because Republicans know there's multiple ways to engage.
I evaluate strength based on election wins and losses.
Yeah, but
no, I'm not. You guys are the ones that are committed to this.
I want the exact same thing in January.
Tell me right now. Hold on. Raise your hand. Yeah. Everybody on this panel, who here thinks that the Republican Party right now is in a strong position?
No, Hutch, no one's disagreeing with you, though.
But what is this based on? He is disagreeing with me. What is this based on?
Well, hold on. To be fair, it's because he could totally kill all of us right now and not go to jail.
Literally, like he's vested with the authority of the president. No, I mean the political party. Is the Republican Party right now in a strong position right now?
Okay, I know what you mean. Not in like
in the short term. In the short term,
yeah.
In the short term, no.
They're going to get demolished. They are in a weak position right now.
I'd like to address what you're saying.
Okay, yes.
So with respect to the elections, you said, you asked like, well, how can you say that? Do you think the Congress elections aren't really super important? Of course, congressional elections are important. But I'm going to describe in 3 ways why the elections that matter, the elections for president. The first is the presidency is the most powerful branch of Congress, of the government, and it's not even close. The modern presidency is by far the strongest branch of government. It's the one that matters. Second way I'll explain it. I would take losing every midterm for the next 20 years if I could win a majority of the presidencies in that time period. I would take, think about it like the golden snitch, the third way I'll say it, and Harry Potter, Quidditch, right? You have the quaffles, they go into and they score the goals. All right. The presidency is different in kind. And you need the presidency more than those other elections. The other elections, absolutely very important. But the elections that matter the most and that matter definitively for this era of politics are the elections for president. Now, in the short term, you're absolutely right, Hutch. You're absolutely right. Democrats are well positioned to take advantage of it. What I'm telling you is you need to see the bigger picture. You need to see the game beyond the game. The Wire. There are games beyond this game. Would you have said, but we cannot.
Hold on, Pisco. Would you have said that Biden was in a strong, like the Democratic Party was in a strong position, like, in 2022 or 2023, just because Biden had the presidency?
No.
So why does that logic apply right now? I don't understand what you're saying.
No, because the question isn't whether or not having the presidency by necessity puts you in a good position. That's not what I'm claiming. I'm not claiming that merely having the presidency puts you in a good position. I'm
That's
not. I'm
what it
telling
sounds
you,
like
I'm
you're
not
saying.
doing that.
No, but that's what you're
You-
saying, though. You're saying that it's the one that matters the most. It's a golden snitch, and that is what you're saying, isn't it?
I'm not saying that merely having the presidency is a sufficient condition to be, quote, in a good political position. Do you hear me? It's not a sufficient condition. I'm trying to
Okay.
tell you that the presidency. Wait, you're sort of twisting your head like you don't believe.
I'm trying to
me.
follow you. I'm trying to
think
follow you.
You don't
'Cause-
believe me when I'm telling you this?
No, I'm
Okay.
trying to follow you, and
So
it
there's
sounds
a
like you're
thing
saying.
called-
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's a thing called being in a good political position. I understand that to be being well poised to like win elections. That's what you mean when you say being in a good political position?
Yes.
Okay. There's another thing called power and importance. And importance and power, like when I say it's more important to have the presidency, relate to things that aren't just being a good political advantage with respect to elections. That includes things like permanently fucking with the bureaucracies of this country as far as we can see them, permanently fucking with the courts as far as we can see them, and being in a position to ideologically dominate a party or a given selection of people. And that is a much more expansive view of importance than mere posturing politically or mere, political advantage in a given moment. And I'm not merely saying that because Biden won the presidency, therefore he was in a good political position. I hope that makes sense, what I just said there. I am saying it's way more important to win presidential elections because of the implications of the power, and it is necessary if we want to reverse the decisions of Trump.
I think you guys are thinking way too much about this. When President Gavin Newsom gets in there, he's going to put Letitia James in as Attorney General, Jack Smith as FBI Director. He's going to lock up all these fools. We've got the policy. We're going to start to implement it. We learned our lessons from having a geriatric president who couldn't defend any of his shit and go out there and cheerlead it. And we will rise to the occasion. You guys are so negative that the Democrats need some miracle. What do we want to run the rock or something and run on free soda pop for everybody?
What
Yes,
we're
Rashad,
scared of,
mouth
we're scared of.
shut it.
Okay,
Yes.
so Rashad, what should we run on? What's going to win then in 2028? What do you think would resonate with the American people that we're not talking about right now?
Number one, vicious demagoguery. Everything should be Elon's fault. Everything should be Trump's fault.
But we're
Everything.
doing that.
No, we're really
We'll
not.
re-release the Epstein files. We're
it-
going to put these pedos in prison. So what?
Yeah.
What else?
Look,
They're gonna run
that
on
right
that.
there, that's big. Promising to
gonna
release
do
the
it.
Epstein files. Hold on, though. It's more than that, though. It's these people are the reason why everything's wrong. And Democrats don't have that darkness in them. Most of them can't look America in the face and say, that motherfucker right there with that red tie on and that bullshit punk ass American flag lapel, he's the reason why your life is fucked up. It's the truth, but are Democrats willing to embrace a dark truth?
You're talking
I
about
don't know.
populism. You're talking about
I don't
populism.
know.
You're talking
Well,
about populism.
but the thing is,
Epstein flag.
we need a mandate to shut these people down for good. But in order to do that, we have to actually meet the viciousness of the moment. Donald Trump allows Americans to die by not subsidizing Obamacare. We need to be calling him a murderer. We need to be saying he's killing people. We need to be making sure, dude, that's not it. People unfortunately don't seem to care. I don't know why.
Didn't Kamala?
Serious? No, I'm
didn't
so
Kamala
serious.
do a lot of heated rhetoric about
Think
Trump?
about
Wait,
Think
hold on,
about
didn't-
this. Think
wait,
about.
hold
Hold on,
wait.
though. Think. Pam Bondi sits in front of the United States of America's government and talks about the Dow in a conversation about child trafficking, and people just went on about their day. And you know what they did? They said Pam Bondi needs to be fired. People kind of did go on about that. Think about
Democrats' message the Democrats' message is very strong on that. And I think
what I mean is
in
the public. I'm
uh,
talking about a mandate. I'm talking about getting the public to be in favor of you going after those responsible for this and shutting them up forever, locking them up. I mean, YouTube, okay, but like we don't have that. And the reality is, like, we did very well pushing back against Bondi, but how did MAGA cope? They said Pam Bondi needs to be fired. They're not willing to say Trump is the culprit. Trump is the reason why she's doing this. Trump is the reason why Kash Patel is doing this.
Republicans are never going to say that.
They're never going to say that. However,
that.
The middle ground of Americans and these kind of like mild maggots, they're relying upon this kind of like, quasi kind of space where the Democrats aren't willing to just come out and be like, you know what? Donald Trump wants to kill you. He wants to cover up the Epstein
That's what
files.
Kamala
Donald
did,
Trump-
though. Kamala did this. She did this. She went in front of a Modi. She went in front of so many podiums. It was like Donald Trump is going to send the military into your. She told everybody about Project 2025. She did way more Trump bad. She did way more Trump bad than Biden and Hillary Clinton.
She failed not because she's a bad politician, but like at the last minute, that's like you're down like maybe like 5 points in the basketball game. It's close, but at the very last minute, you want to talk about team, let's go. We don't have that much time. Kamala can't come in at the very end and be like, Trump's like the Antichrist. You think people are going to listen to that? It's not her fault. But the reality is the left was like stuff like Trump's a Nazi, he's a fascist. We were a little bit too early on that. We weren't effective in actually confronting right-wing ideology. But the beautiful thing about today is they're open. Nick Fuentes is racially attacking the vice president's family. Trump depicts the Obamas as monkeys. I mean, I hate to say it, but like,
they're already aggressively messaging on those.
Hold on a minute. What I'm saying is like, you have to be able to meet the moment and say, hold on a minute. No, everyone pay attention to this. Oh, and by the way, they're evil. This is their fault. You can't afford a home. It's their fault. You can't afford medicine. It's their fault. The Democrats are not ready to say conservatism is the enemy. And until they're able to say that, we might end up in this back and forth battle for the rest of our lives. And frankly, I'm trying to live my life in peace.
Okay, but your strat, that might work really well in like a D+40 seat. That's not, it's less clear if it's if you're trying to flip. No, I'm not. No. I think you're restricting the conversation to just like one kind of nebulous thing. But the reality is that American politics at the national level, we're talking about hundreds of races all across the country that shape the country's entire politics. And I don't know how to square your prescription that
you need a mandate.
Hold on, real quick. Like, I don't know how to square your prescription that all, Democrats need to run on like demagoguery and populism. I don't know how to square that with like Spanberger and Cheryl overperforming their polls while Mamdani underperformed his polls, running
winning seats and like winning the war. Like
that's how you win the war. That was crazy. Wait, hold on. This is how you win the war. You win governor seats. Crazy. You win state legislature seats. You win seats in the Congress. You win the presidency. All of it matters.
What was the makeup of the country in 2016 before Trump won? Like
the makeup? What do you mean?
Yeah, like we had the presidency, the Senate, and the House.
No, we did not. We lost.
We didn't have all three. I'm saying like, what was it? Was it like
the Republicans controlled the Senate and the House? We got crushed by a lot. They had enormous majorities because we got crushed because of the recession and the fear mongering around the ACA.
But do you think that before the 2016 election that like in some ways Democrats were resting on their laurels and underestimated the Trump like effect?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, they took the blue wall for granted for sure. Yeah,
right. So like we keep back and forth, and you guys are talking past each other. He's not saying, "Oh, we're not doing well."
Too often, Swipe Hill.
Because you do it. You talk past each other a lot. I'm sorry, it's true.
I don't need the.
Well, I agree with Rashad. So I'm just saying, like, I feel like if I was Rashad, his words were coming out of my mouth. God,
wait. So just answer my question then. If you agree with him, answer my question.
No, the Mamdani thing is not responsive. The Mamdani thing is not responsive because Mamdani didn't run on demagoguery. Mamdani didn't run on what Rashad is talking about.
He ran on populism.
Okay, I thought you described.
I'm not saying populism is always bad.
Are you construing?
He's right. But like the thing is, like Mamdani's battle, he could win by like cute kind of populism. But this bigger battle, we're not just like we're fighting an ideological battle here. We're talking about Americans like Mike Huckabee that want to bring about the end of the world by like allowing like Israel to expand across all of like.
And they're getting demolished though. They're getting demolished.
Which are not okay. Like that's like Sherman and like destroying the Confederacy, and God comes down and is like, so this problem's not going to be over in like 150 years.
But nobody said that.
But God, I'm destroying them right now. It's like
nobody said that.
Problem. Well, that's basically what I'm trying to get you to understand is we are not just fighting a battle. We are fighting an ideological war. MAGA is a familial ideological extension of really the Confederacy. And I'm sorry, but just winning seats isn't enough because we had political power before this happened. We didn't have perfect power, but we had power and we lost. And we have to take into account the fact that in order to put these people in jail and in order to stop Americans from voting for this nonsense again, we need a mandate. We need actual, I hate to call it demagoguery, it's really just truth. We need to stop being afraid to say, dude, conservatives want you to fucking die from cancer.
I feel like you have an I win card that you play in this conversation when you just say it doesn't matter if someone wins, like, you know, wins the
It does matter. But what I'm trying to get you to understand,
but you just said it doesn't matter. You said it doesn't matter. You said there's a larger war going on.
If I said that, I apologize.
Long term.
What I'm saying is, you know, if I said it doesn't matter, I apologize.
You need these wins in these governor's races.
Wait, hold on. We need the wins.
Yes.
But the problem is that I'm trying to communicate to you that Democrats think we won, and that's enough. It's not. We can lose, especially if we're going to be playing by the game of like, well, you know, we're going to trust the American people to make the right decision in the next 10 years. No. Do you think conservatives trust the American people? No. That's why they have Turning Point USA. That's why they have the Heritage Foundation. They're not waiting for the American people to see the light. They're going to show them. They're going to tell them what to believe. So we don't do that. We're relying upon like the greater good of humanity. Okay. That's not going to work here.
Okay, but I understand what you're saying. But so now you are saying that like governor's races and mayor's races like in NYC, they matter. They do matter. Okay, so in all three cases, Mikey Sherrill, Spanberger, Mamdani, and just to be clear, I'm not bad-mouthing Mamdani. His win was insanely impressive, and I think he's doing a really good job right now. None of them were running on this demagoguery that you're talking about.
Yeah, but in order to like win like the nation over like for the next 20 to 30 years.
But how do I make sense of that? They won by 15 points, and they overperformed by double digits.
I don't want to go back and forth with conservatives forever. You're underestimating the fact that like, let's say Trump decides like, I'm only going to be like a kind of dictator, and he lets the midterms go through. And let's say he says,
that was better impression than most of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, let's say he says, I'm leaving, I surrender, and he goes home. There's a really good chance that if Democrats get in, no one's going to jail. Maybe Kash Patel because he's brown, or maybe Pete Hegseth because he's drunk. But like, no one's really going to jail, and you know that'll be it. That's if Trump is civil about this.
But I'm trying to reconcile.
That would be because the law protects them. It might be that they get pardoned, or the law will protect them.
I'm trying to reconcile
that's our democracy.
I'm trying to reconcile.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to communicate the fact that like we're at a point now where like a lot of Americans are like, what about democracy? Who cares?
No, but I don't know how you make sense. Like, so if I tell you that we had three really impressive, and two of them especially were like not only victories, they fucking demolished.
I'm not. No.
Niels, stop talking. Shut the fuck up. He just said that you need to run on like demagoguery to secure these big majorities.
Yeah, I'm telling you, 10 years.
I'm telling you, but we won those two seats not by running on like
them for the next 10 years.
Yeah, you want to know how we won them? Because Trump showed his true colors.
They ran, but they did not. They did not run on demagoguery. Is my point, and they fucking demolished the Republicans.
Why?
We're leapfrogging past that.
Why did they demolish Republicans?
Because they ran on affordability. They ran a disciplined campaign. All three of them ran on kitchen table issues. They did not focus on They did not focus on let's throw Donald Trump in jail, and there are the reasons for all of your problems.
We've ran on like common sense, good policy forever. I'm trying to tell you that there will be times where this won't work. I'm trying to tell you, like, there will come a day where Americans will be like, affordable food, affordable health. What the fuck is that? It's gay. And again, we're going to be dealing with this again. We're not going to be able to just win seats and say, we've won, we whooped their ass. This man did an insurrection and he's back. Like, this is like, I'm trying to communicate to you, like,
but Rashad, let me ask you,
we will have tangible power.
Is it possible that Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime thing? A con man who was charismatic, a TV personality who was able to take over the Republican Party and abuse it, and that when he's gone, no one will fill those shoes, and we will go back to our back and forth and compromise and move in this country forward? Is it possible?
I don't want a back and forth. I'm tired of this. Like, look at Europe moving into the future, and we're sitting here bickering about like trans people and like what is this? Like, we have problems, they have problems, but like they're further along in development than we are, in part mainly because America is fighting a culture war. Like, so many Americans believe in like Democrat, like progressive policies, but the moment you put D next to the name of the politician advocating for them, people go crazy. Why do they go crazy? Why do they start bitching? We need a mandate, and we need cultural takeover. We need educational takeover, not camps. But we do need.
But why wouldn't?
Every single
we?
thing you gotta like, walk back the Fed.
Can we go one live and learn episode without talking about fucking concentration camps? But like, if you're looking for a roadmap for how to demolish Republicans in elections to secure big enough majorities to have this mandate, why would you not look to the people that are crushing Republicans and just see what they're doing?
You don't want to accept the fact that like
work every time. That's the question.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're
I'm
relying,
not thinking. No, you guys are thinking.
Relying
we are.
on
That's the
Trump.
point.
You're relying on Trump. Like Trump is his own worst enemy. If Trump woke up today and said, "Well, tomorrow," I don't even know if he sleeps, but if he woke up tomorrow and said, "Okay, I'm the president," and he actually tried to be the president, like no more bullshit, no more games, grown ass 70-something-year-old man, like 80s, whatever the fuck, giant dinosaur. But if he decided, I'm actually going to do this the right way, I don't know if we'd start having the same victories we have right now. Donald Trump's cult of personality is strong. He won't. But what I'm trying to tell you is there's this kind of mentality of like, well, he's this once in a lifetime guy. And it's like, well, honestly, I don't know if that's true. We don't know. We cannot sit here and rest on our laurels and say there'll never be another guy like Trump. There's Nick Fuentes. And frankly, I don't have faith that America will resist him effectively. I just don't.
But isn't the ultimate goal for us to get along in this country and have our differences and come together and compromise?
Yeah, but like that requires
we give and take.
Yeah, but like
I mean,
you are looking at the world in a way that conservatives don't look at it, and that's the problem. Is like you want to get along, they don't want to get along. They hate you. They hate everybody on this panel. White, black, Jewish, Hispanic. They hate you. You're delusional.
I disagree.
You're out of your mind.
I disagree.
You're looking at a dictator.
Wait, he's delusional.
I'm delusional, or he's
no, he's not talking about the leaders. No. I think you guys to soy pills. I'm gonna do a soy pill. I think you guys are talking about.
I'm delusional.
I actually do think you're talking about each other because no, I know that he said that you're
You
delusional.
think I'm delusional?
I think that IRI is referencing. No, I don't think you're delusional. I don't think you're delusional. I think Rashad said that. Wait, what did Rashad say?
I think I said no. I said you're delusional. Yeah, you are delusional.
Oh, you did too. Wait, give me a second. This is where I think it's coming down. Ira, I think that you're talking about your fellow man, your fellow Republican, your fellow conservative, your average American. And in that respect, I think that you're right. And I think Rashad is talking about Trump. I don't think IRI thinks that like Trump and the elites care about Democrats. I think he's with you on that. I think that IRI is just saying that you're painting with too broad of a brush with overall Republicans. That's where I think it's getting lost. I don't think IRI is delusional.
Wait, are we still doing this thing of like Republicans are like normal people?
Of course they are. Why would they be?
Okay, well, some
half the country. Wait, Rashad. So you're saying half the country is nuts and hates the other half? I mean, come on, that's ridiculous.
Look, white conservatives in real life, some of the greatest people I've met. Politically, my God, it's like crazy, dude. This like delusion of like, oh no, man, Trump is what's making them crazy. No, Trump greenlit the crazy. Trump gave the crazy a platform. Trump said all that stuff that you've been holding in because it looked politically, horrible to say out loud. You can just do it. You think these people like, and you think Trump reinvented racism?
You agree with Hillary, Rashad? You agree with Hillary? There's a
Was Hillary wrong? Was Hillary wrong?
Well, technically, she said half of Trump voters.
The funny thing is, like, Hillary was right too early. Hillary was just like politically inept at like figuring out how to stop the Trump fire. But like, I'm sorry, I'm done pretending like the shit libs back in the day were wrong. They were right. They were annoying. They were bitchy. They were right, though. I'm not going to pretend like they were wrong. Conservatives are crazy. They want the end of the world. A lot of them are white nationalists. I don't know why are we still doing this thing of like, you have Marco Rubio giving a foreign policy speech about our European heritage of, sailors and explorers. And, we hate these anti-colonial uprisings. It's like, what more does it take?
Do you not want democracy then?
I want democracy, but democracy requires a sane demographic of people, requires normal people. And
there's no such thing as normal people, Rashad. Everybody's nuts, but they can be manipulated and they can be brought back to the flock as well. If they have the right.
You think that America, mishandling Reconstruction and allowing the South to kind of maintain its ideological, spirit and mentality. That was just, you're trusting, like we've trusted people.
That was over an unsettled election, unfortunately.
People want to pretend like that stuff died or it's like not that big of a deal anymore. Dude, it's still here. You have conservatives who don't believe that the earth is like more than 5,000 years old. You have people who like, these people are not sane.
Yeah, but in a
Why?
democracy, in a democracy,
No.
with,
No. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able.
No, democracy.
I'm not saying that we get rid of democracy. What I'm saying is that
no. I know. I didn't say that. I didn't say
I'm
that.
just saying. What I'm saying is like, guys, can we please stop pretending like our political opponents are like operating from good faith and they want the best, and it's really just little disagreements. It's like, no, it's not.
Okay, I can appreciate all that, but you seem to have the view that the next Democratic, broad sweeping mandate that's going to come in are going to win on a platform of, you balked a little bit on like concentration camps, but just like, brutal punishment of the MAGA movement. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's what's going to win elections. That hasn't been what has won us elections in the Trump era. One more thing. You spoke for a little bit. One more thing. I think that a major flaw in your prescription right now is you have kind of like a static view of where the country is going. And so it might be the case that populism is what connects with voters in a given election cycle. And then there are a lot of things that happen outside of politics that influence the entire zeitgeist. And these are things that you cannot plan for. You don't necessarily know if there's going to be like a recession 2 or 4 years from now, or a, major national or natural disaster like Katrina, which was like one of the things that really brought Republicans down. You have no idea like what strategy is going to work 4 years from now, 2 years from now, let alone 4 years or 6 years or 8 years from now. And I think, let me finish my point. Okay. I think the only thing that you can do if you're talking about like a political project, you can have like a vision of where you want the country to go, but you need to be dynamic, and you need to be focused.
I need to be dynamic.
I'm saying one needs to be dynamic and take a look at. Hey, hang on. Tell me I'm wrong. Like
you're wrong.
I want to tell you.
Wait, hang on. So you need to take a look. You need to take. You keep cutting me the fuck off. Both of you guys. You need to take a look at where the electorate is at right now, and then campaign in a way that's going to connect with the most amount of those people possible. Right now, Democrats are doing that with spectacular success, and they're not running on like we're going to fucking throw MAGA in concentration camps.
So
they're
we're just
wait real quick.
On like we're going to lower your grocery bills and increase your paychecks.
And that's good. But Hutch, think about it this way. Why is it that there's a stereotype that black people vote Democrat?
It's not a stereotype. It's like 90%.
Stereotype. It's not always true, but it's generically true. Why is that?
That's not a stereotype. They are. It's 92%.
Wrong word. Why do most black people vote for Democrats? Is the question.
There's a long historical reason for this that goes back.
And
like
so I think what Rashad's trying to say, and I agree with this completely, is yes, we can win right now with what we're doing. It's clearly fucking working. But what we need to do is have a precedent of in 2 years, in 4 years, in 10 years, when people say, "Fuck, this sucks. Whatever's happening, AI's taking over the world. We got a comet hitting, climate change." People say, well, who has been the party that takes care of me and lifts me up every single fucking time? It's the Democrats. The conservatives rat fuck me every 4 years. Conservatives rat fuck me in the midterms. Conservatives rat fuck me. They take my health care. That is not what we're doing right now. And if we don't establish this mandate of most people think the Democrats can be trusted to get them out of a solution, I think we're fucked.
But Soy Pill, it's all very fanciful. It's like, okay, we need to stop them from doing that. And all we got to do is win every election for the next 10 years. And then it's like,
wait, it's not fanciful though.
It is though, but you don't know where the electorate's going to be at 4 years from now.
But like, imagine if like conservatives thought,
why would you pre-commit to a campaign strategy of demagoguery if you have no idea that's what's going to connect?
If conservatives thought like you, none of this would be happening for them right now. If they thought the way you think,
obviously, I'm a fucking liberal.
What I'm saying is, if they thought the way you did, a lot of their victories they have right now wouldn't exist. You can't look at the future and say, well, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm not going to be proactive. You be proactive where you can, and you let the chips fall where they may. But you don't sit there and see hold on. You don't sit there and see conservatives do something that objectively works.
How are they doing right now?
I'm not going to do it.
How are they doing right now? How's
the advantage that we have is our politics, like you say.
But how are they doing right now? You're saying they're these masterminds that are like these.
You're skipping to the L instead of looking at the W that gets cut in half to get the L. You're missing the part where they won and then did a bunch of evil stuff. To do the evil shit, you gotta win. And in order for us to win, to do good things and keep it that way, so I can live my life in peace and because I'm the only one that matters. But anyways, if in order for me to do this, in order for us to do this, I mean, like, we have to convince the American people that our policies are good, so that when the hard times come and conservatives say, well, what if we did racism? Wouldn't that be nice?
Rashad,
people don't go for it.
Hutch agrees with Hutch agrees with that, Rashad. So I want to, because spiritually, there's some elements of what you're saying that like I agree with spiritually. Let's get to concrete shit. Because when I talk about like Democrats need to be harder, stronger, whatever, I do agree that there needs to be accountability and punishment, and that's very important. However, I'm like mad that Democrats are not going to vote in favor of restraining Trump on Iran. I'm mad that Democrats are voting for Republican bills, like in Riley Act, et cetera. But in terms of you, like when you say run on demagoguery, those kinds of things, give me 2 to 3 concrete examples, slogans, rhetoric that you think would be effective, and that and tell me whether or not. I'll ask another question first, and then you can do that. Would you lie? Would you be in favor of Democrats lying? And then also give me examples of the kind of demagoguery rhetoric that you're getting at.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about
first
all of this,
line.
No.
Would you lie? Would you lie? Would you lie?
No lying. I think the beautiful thing about all of this is that we don't have to lie. Conservatives are so unbelievably comically evil to make anything up. Like, I look at these people and I'm like, if Democrats just told the truth in a harsh and aggressive way and let the conservatives walk the nation into these realizations, we could do very well. You don't have to lie about conservatives. They're just evil as they are. And the reality is that when it comes even outside of like well, honestly, they don't even use immigration well. Trump is allowing people to kill Americans. Why are people talking about how Trump will kill you? Well, not like that. Don't say it like that, but kind of in the sense of like, you can be executed by Trump's private military and there will be no recompense. There will be no punishment. This man has a private military that will kill you. Donald Trump allowed Affordable Care Act subsidies to expire after conservatives screamed and cried about the Affordable Care Act and how bad it is. They lied and said Obamacare was some kind of demonic pact with like, demons from the ninth circle of hell. It's important for Americans to realize that all of these things that are for their benefit are literally antithetical to the conservative
But that's
agenda.
already happening, Rashad. They're already talking about these things.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a
We're in a shutdown over
Hold
there
on a
right
minute.
now.
How long, number one, did it take Democrats to get to the point of even saying something close to that? It took a long time. Number one. Number two, most Democrats won't word it in a way that's contentious, even though that's kind of what it's going to take. Because the reality is that Americans are losing their health care. And somebody will say, Republicans don't want you to have health care. And it's like, okay, good start. But let's start pointing out names. Why is it that when Donald Trump doesn't get his way on stupid bullshit, he's on Twitter tweeting names, but when Biden doesn't get his way, we don't know who the names of the people are doing this?
Biden got way more done than Trump, bro. Biden was way better.
That's not what I'm arguing with you about. What I'm saying is that when conservatives go to war with us on the right thing, we need to be as ruthless as they are. If you want to start, singling people out and picking on people for not supporting your buffoonery, all right, I want the American people to know who it was that aided and abetted in this loss of healthcare. I want people to know. I want Democratic.
You live in an upside down world, bro.
Democratic politicians to go to mainstream platforms and communicate.
They did. Rashad, you're in the upside down, bro.
There is no upside down.
Yes.
Okay. You cannot be serious.
Bro, we had the longest government shutdown literally ever. They were on the airwaves every fucking day talking about the expiring subsidies.
Do you actually believe the American people heard a lick of that?
Yes.
No.
Look at the polling. What are you talking about?
The polls do not reflect the actual battle I'm talking about. You need to be in every nook and cranny. You need to be getting on platforms that most people would never touch. You need to be getting on, for some reason, like James Tallarico is like one of the only few people. We need more Democrats going on like Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, these fucking weird little nooks and crannies. We had fucking Buttigieg on
Wait, Joe Rogan is not a weird little nook and cranny. That's Joe Rogan, the most important podcast.
Yeah, it is the most important podcast, unfortunately, but he's a bitch. You know, we need more Democrats fighting these kind of these that seem incremental to you, but are big, because the American people are feeling the kind of insanity of Trump. But there needs to be a public understanding that everything wrong with your life is the fault not of just Trump, but conservatism. There is a national spell that the nation is under, that conservatism is fiscally responsible, that conservatism is common sense. And the American people, a lot of them still believe this on mainstream alternative, that's kind of like, you know, an oxymoron, but you get what I mean, platforms. And I'm sorry, but if you think Democrats have convinced people,
so call out some bad actors, call out some bad politicians, call out some bad politicians who are Democrats who are not doing this.
What do you think that paper in front of him is?
Democrats?
That's
Jeffries.
Like, well, Schumer and Jeffries are like, did you see this? Jeffries was like, I'm not going to say, that's what you want to say about ICE, but I'm going to say what I want to say. Like, Jeffries is kind of like one of the first people that have to go. I mean, like, I was gonna lie and say I love him. That's a lie.
What? He's not going anywhere, bro.
Yeah,
he's got way too much support. He's got way too much support.
They're all behind
Jeffries
him. Every single one of them.
Jeffries needs to fucking go at some point.
Come on, Rashad. This is insanity. Every Democrat is behind him in the House.
Imagine being
Every
asked about
Democrat.
Trump's personal hit squad, and you're like, well, that's what you think about the personal hit squad. But I'll say what I want to say.
Bullshit. That was fucking bullshit.
It was not bullshit.
He was absolutely clip farming Jeffries 1,000%.
Dude,
he was basically like, why do you not care? Like, how do you sleep at night knowing that Donald Trump is like, you know, murdering people with ICE? Meanwhile, the Democrats are leading a shutdown currently over ICE. Like, he's already fighting this because he wouldn't commit to saying abolish ICE. He wouldn't commit to saying that. The guy was like, why do you hate killing babies with ICE?
You need to say abolish ICE, dude. Like, illegal, political. Hold on. Political and legal wins are important. I'm not saying they're not, but like, you guys pretend like reason and rationale is going to win the day every time. It's like,
you think if Chuck Schumer says abolish ICE, that's going to get more popular or less popular?
Who should be
it is going to be more. We're going to gain much more popularity.
I want him to answer that. Hold on.
We're going to get much more popularity.
If Schumer and Jeffries come out tomorrow and say, we've all decided that we want to abolish ICE, do you think popularity for that position is going to go up or down?
Up.
You just told me a minute ago that policies proposed by Democrats lose popularity because they're proposed by Democrats. Do you remember saying that?
I'm talking about progressive economic policies.
I don't remember him saying that.
No, I did say that. No, it is true.
Oh, okay.
It is true that progressive policies with a D next to them become less popular.
So why would abolish ICE be any different?
Hold on a minute. When ICE is shooting people in the fucking face, it has a much more tangible effect. You're looking at every single. You want to take a perfect look.
I actually,
on each specific situation.
I think what you need to withdraw is the notion that it would get more popular if Hakeem and Schumer supported it. I think that that's not clear to me at all that would happen. I think it's different for every issue. One of the reasons I think that is because I don't think that Schumer and Jeffries are very popular, and I think that there are different things that we can criticize about the leadership. I agree with IRI completely that Jeffries is going nowhere, and that everyone is lockstep behind them. But I don't think that that's a testament that he's doing a fantastic job. To Rashad's point, I don't think he's doing a fantastic job. And
how is that not?
What do you mean? What you mean?
How is that not? That he's doing a fantastic job?
You're measuring victory through just legal and political wins. That's my problem.
Yes, of course I am.
But like, you're kind of ignoring the part how like a fascistic government is taken over by not doing any of that at all. Like, you're ignoring the fact that it is possible to win and possibly maintain power by bullshitting. Not to say we should, but messaging, it matters, and it's not
but you
just
don't lie.
You don't have to lie about conservatives.
You have to lie to be a fascist. You can't tell the truth. Hey,
I'm not saying we need to be fascist. I'm saying that in order to compete with them, you must realize the weakness is their policy. They're never going to point out the truth of their own policies. You have to point it out.
Hold on, let me ask you a question. Rashad, who would you have as the leader of the Dems in the House then? Out of the 213 of them, who do you think would do a better job than Hakeem? Because they don't seem to think anybody, but who would you pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think the entire party's fucking dry as fuck right now. I mean, maybe AOC could, but I mean, no. But see, the funny thing is, like, people,
all right, gotta get up for that one.
People will say, like, no, but hold on. People will laugh and say, ha, 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 ha. But it's like, again, you can laugh, but Hakeem Jeffries, I'm sorry, he's not a fucking hard hitter for the long term. You have people who are not going to be strong enough to buck the public against Trump the more and more radical he gets. So you can laugh right now, but the reality is,
But that's already happening, Rashad.
The reality is, in reality, all this points out is the Democratic Party generally has been woefully unprepared leading up to this moment, and the majority of its strength is not coming from its own ability to rouse the base or the nation, but it's completely reliant on Donald Trump himself to defeat Donald Trump. So you can laugh, but if anything, all it really does is point out the fact that from leadership all the way down, there is nobody. I mean, Mike Johnson, who runs away from questions and gives answers like I've never heard of that,
is the weakest House Speaker of all time, bro. Is
somehow still tolerated by the public.
He's the weakest House Speaker of all time, and he's going to lose that gavel in November.
Everything just by he's the weakest speaker. They're not reared against these people enough to confidently say that if Donald Trump were to pass away or to, impossibly rescind leadership, that we 100% have locked in left-wing victory for 10 to 20 years.
You keep talking about that, but you keep talking about that issue. But so that ideal, I think you should approach things one election cycle at a time. We can't be talking about 1,000-year.
I'm not here to sabotage.
1,000-year like left, right.
I'm not here to sabotage.
Hang on, I got one more question for you. Okay. If your proposed strategy of run on conservatives are evil and they want to kill you and demagoguery, if that is really what is connecting with voters right now, how come we're not seeing more candidates like that win in primaries and then run on those?
There is not a single fucking candidate, in my opinion, that can effectively, properly paint conservatives in the picture that they actually exist in. No, don't know why, don't know how.
But people are running on demagoguery in the primaries. How come those candidates are not seeing more success?
Right now is Ro Khanna, who's calling them the Epstein class, but he's still because he wants to protect himself, is not saying Donald Trump is a pedophile. He's saying, hey, this looks really bad for him. Ted Lieu is saying there's a lot of bad stuff in here, but none of them are able to come out and say
everyone's going to hate me though.
Legal analysis here?
No, it's not a legal analysis. Saying confidently that Donald Trump is a pedophile.
No. I'm not saying people should say
supported
that.
By the Epstein
files. I know, because there's no hard evidence that he is. The point is that the people, there's a thirst for look at all this shit. Look at Mike Johnson lying to people's faces. Look at these Republicans gunning down people in the street and not
Number one.
And what Rashad is saying is you can capitalize on this and not just win the elections
like
we're doing, which is good. We need to make the word conservative poison to the American people, and it's not.
Simple. Hang on. Number one, they are getting fucking demolished right now.
Are you going to say the same thing if they're winning in the
number 2
years?
How come your approach? I'm asking you the same question. If demagoguery is the blueprint for demolishing, which we're already doing, by the way, but if demagoguery and they're going to kill you and we need camps, if that's really the rhetoric that is connecting with voters right now, how come those candidates that are running?
Rashad, you laugh, but do you agree with that? Wait, Rashad, you laugh.
I do not agree with the
Do you support?
No, we don't.
So you don't agree with talking about camps?
No camp.
No camps. No. All right, forget the camps. Retreats, voluntary retreats. Everybody will be.
We're not
3 hots in a cot. It'll be fine. It'll be chill. Okay, I know. I'm just playing. But how come that demagoguery is not what's connecting with voters actually in practice? How come it's affordability?
Affordability is fine. Affordability is working in part because Trump's doing everything in his meaningful power to sabotage it. The problem is
smart,
hold on. But the problem is, what do conservatives usually have to, what bases do conservatives usually have to cover in order to win? They usually have to cover race, gender, cultural issues in order to win, because they can't win on policy. So we have to take into account, how do they usually win elections? And we have to shut off all of those avenues as best we can, because the reality is that they don't need policy to win, but we do. Not even because honestly, we come to the game with policy, and sometimes we lose. We lose, and we're not losing because the opposite side comes to the table with good ideas. Sometimes they get lucky, like you said. Sometimes unforeseen things happen. October 7th, the war in Ukraine, and Biden's a weak leader and he's asleep at the wheel. These things can happen. But what I like about conservatives is that, excluding Trump's demonic, absolute satanic behavior, they're kind of ready for anything. They have their narrative, they have their message, they have their idea, and there are normies who think Kamala is an evil person because of her laugh. If you're underestimating that ability, that level of like influence mentally on the public, we're going to be, like you said, well, I don't know if it was IRI or you, but like this kind of like eternal back and forth with the right. And frankly, I don't think America can survive a back and forth with the right. I don't. Not forever. There's going to have to be an implosion at some point nationally. You can't possibly believe this kind of cultural back and forth, because that's really what it is going to last. Yeah, but like how long is that going to... Yeah, we had a civil war.
For the majority of the time it existed.
Exactly.
We have flourished up until this point. And we're also like forgetting the fact that, again, immigration is being used. Race is being used. We're forgetting the fact that there are demographic issues right now in America that are incensing a lot of voters to say this is the final fucking showdown. We don't want democracy. We want dictator, Lord and Savior Donald. And if you don't like it, shut the fuck up.
But that's what you. But that's what you sound like. You want a different dictator that's going to.
I never said I wanted dictatorship. I never said that. No, I didn't. What I said was I wanted. What I want is a strong Democratic Party that looks to completely overhaul American culture, not by forcing people to do things, but by heavily investing in education, going after institutions that seek to spread misinformation once this regime is toppled, going after companies that spread misinformation. I don't know, maybe Fox.
Hang on, hold on. Maybe, hold on. You said target institutions and corporations. Wait, what do you mean?
Fox News gets to sit there and lie about an election.
No, but what does that mean?
No.
What does it mean to target them?
In the name of democracy, we're going to let them go free.
No, what does that mean? We have a First Amendment, bro. What are you talking about?
You can't possibly believe the democracy can survive if a company can lie about elections. And your response is,
I'm asking you,
dude,
what do you do?
No. This is a thing of I'm asking, when in reality it's like, well, I don't really agree.
No, you said target Fox News. Like,
what do you think I mean? Send the fucking liars that you can prove have lied to jail.
For what? Lying? What are you talking about?
For aiding and abetting a conspiracy against the United States of America knowingly.
This sounds a lot like MAGA right now, to be clear.
You want to know what's funny? You want to know what's funny? Is like, this is part of the reason why we're stuck like this. Is a significant amount of Americans sit there and look at the other side that wants them to die and thinks, I love you. Meanwhile, they want to kill you. You will look at someone like Donald Trump and say, I don't know if we should lock him up. In the name of democracy, give him a chance. And then he gets in and says, no. Then he gets in and says, what's democracy? Can you eat that? I don't eat that. Donald Trump gets in and says, fuck democracy. This is the problem, is people like yourself who think we can hold hands with a side of the country that doesn't want to hold hands.
You want to get rid of, you want to abandon liberalism. You want a new kind of paradigm.
If you want to, okay, you can't honestly possibly believe that liberalism can survive if a company says, we have good reason to believe this is false. We've spoken to his private lawyers who have come to us with information that we know didn't come from the DOJ, didn't come from the FBI. Many of us are connected to this administration. We know this is really a lie, but because we're afraid of losing money as a result of lying about this, we're going to compel Americans to believe elections don't work and aren't real so that we can keep making money. And you, the ever liberalism loving guy, is going to sit there and say, in the name of democracy, whoever dies as a result of this, whoever goes to prison as a result of this, whoever suffers as a result of this, it's a-okay in the name of liberalism?
Well,
you think historians will look back on this and say, well, at least they stood up in the name of liberalism?
I'm just asking you, because it sounds like you're saying that liberalism is inadequate to deal with the threat of MAGA, right?
Liberalism is not inadequate up to the point of realizing that, hey, there will be people who say we don't like liberalism. And if your idea is we're going to let them run rampant and literally obstruct the system, conspire against the United States, conspire against the right to vote, literally spread mass, not just misinformation for the sake of it, but misinformation in accessory to a, well, not in accessory, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but in furtherance of a criminal conspiracy.
It's not against the law to lie. You can lie. You can lie about these things.
You can lie, but if it's in furtherance of a criminal conspiracy.
I want to get some clarity. So like, it can be. I think, unfortunately, Rashad, a lot of the theories of criminality of the administration are going to run into probably mass pardons, but also substantive issues in terms of the conspiracy front, which the court will almost certainly intervene to prevent. That is, I mean, the Supreme Court. I want to get clarity though on the
we just
question
like
that
leave
I
that
think we should try though, Rashad. No. I think that there can be other methods by which we can try to have accountability. Unfortunately, though, there and that includes, I think, a lot of state actors stepping up. For example, trying to charge kidnapping for some of these immigration matters where people were taken from states and brought to, like, for example, Sikot. I think that there's some creative stuff that we can try to do, but there's a big problem here and a lot of structural reform that's needed because we do need punishment and we do need accountability. But I just want to get clarity on Hutch's question. When you asked, is liberalism enough? Hutch, do you mean it to stop Trump and MAGA? Is liberalism as a structural framework or as a set of ideas enough to defeat MAGA? Or is your question more, is it impossible to defeat MAGA within a liberal framework? What is more accurate to your question?
Can liberalism survive by adhering to principles like free speech? I mean, we don't throw people in jail for lying about politics. We don't. And Rashad conjured
just
something.
lying about politics, Hutch.
No, come on.
Some lies are illegal, right?
Yeah,
you acknowledge that it's possible to lie in an illegal way,
Why
right?
Some lies are crimes.
Soy pill. Why do you do this?
Because
I
think you're straw manning him right now. He's not saying
No. He's not.
said
He's
use
not
the state.
straw manning.
He said use
He's
the
not straw
state.
manning.
He said use
Oh,
the
he's
state.
not?
straw manning.
Hang on.
No,
He said
hold
use-
on. He's
hang
not
on,
straw
hang on.
manning.
He was talking to me. He said use the state to target Fox News. I said for what? He said lying. I said lying's not illegal. He said aiding and abetting a conspiracy. I don't know what.
Lying to the point of causing an insurrection.
You think I'm mad at them for like
different.
lying about the
Soy
weather?
pill, why are you doing
about?
this? You are smarter
No,
than this.
no,
You
wait.
are
He's
smarter
not.
than
Okay,
this.
go ahead.
hold
No,
on.
Rashad,
Now
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You are straw manning me. Actually, my lawyer Soy Pill is actually right. That wasn't racial. But the point here is I don't. The fact that you're like, well, are you against lying? And it's like, well, yeah, in the furtherance of a criminal conspiracy. But what about the lying, though? I'm not mad about Jesse Waters saying that pancakes are better than waffles, which is a heretical lie.
But we already have mechanisms. We already have mechanisms to hold Fox News accountable for lies. I mean, they said it was the largest but this is a civil case. There was the largest civil settlement literally ever because they got
you think that this stuff should just stay like civil. There should be no actual criminal consequences for knowingly aiding and abetting in a criminal conspiracy that cannot work without a national mandate.
No, of course. Like Jack Smith charged people with conspiracy to deprive rights. I mean, like,
right, but like you do understand that like the conspiracy of this nature can't work unless like millions believe that the election was
so you want to use the state to target Fox News, correct?
Yes. In the event, you know what's funny is like we're heading towards hell because of this kind of mindset. The Europeans understand that if you just let anything fly, you're cooked. But you guys are in this kind of mindset of like, well, everything will turn out A-okay and liberalism. And it's like liberalism reserves the right to defend itself, frankly. If you're going to sit there and let...
illiberal, though. I mean, like, if we're talking about...
Okay, so I'm being illiberal. I'm being illiberal by seeing people engage in a criminal conspiracy that is reliant upon lies.
What Fox News conspiracy criminal thing are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Curious right now.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, what
so wait, hold on.
What's the criminal conspiracy?
So
That's a fair question.
Wait, hold on. You don't think that Donald Trump's criminal conspiracy is not reliant? Hold on, because now
what
we're talking.
The crime is the question.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I grant that we don't have laws on the books, but I do believe that we do need laws against this because the reality is that this kind of conspiracy, cannot work without Fox. It doesn't. You need people to think it was stolen for them to run into the Capitol and obstruct a legal proceeding that actually transitions from one head of state to another. So when you sit there and say, it's like, well, if
let's
we
talk
get
about
back
that
power and we don't criminalize this, are we just going to recycle
so let's talk about that, Rashad. Let's talk about it because I agree that there's some. So the standard for criminalizing conduct with respect to the attempted theft of the election with the insurrection, all that is incitement and conspiracy. You're right. Conspiracy against rights, a conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. These are all things where statements can be relevant to those crimes. 100% about that. I don't think that Fox, however, has crossed the threshold in terms of the criminal conspiracy. If there were evidence of that, I think that they should be charged and they should be found out. There's another problem, though, in the context of actualizing this specific desire in the future, which is Trump has pardoned everyone there other than himself. And that is how are we going to get accountability for Fox on Jan 6, given everyone's immunization? when it
Well,
comes to federal
it's political
prosecutions.
theory and philosophical theory at that point. It's like, okay, well, like, do we have a mandate? Does Trump do enough damage to where people say his pardon is fucking invalid? At what point does a pardon retain its validity if the person who instituted them did them to actually like aid and abet in the destruction of democracy? Like, at what point do we say a pardon really doesn't fucking matter?
Here's what I'll give you. So here's what I give you. This is what I'll give you, Rashad. I think that people should try different test cases. I'm telling you what the chances are that they'll be successful. 0.00001. This is what I would like to see tried. I would like to see Congress implement enforcement of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and for someone to try to get an action that would declare Trump having never held the office of presidency in his second term because he's unqualified under the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and maybe we can get those pardons annulled by virtue of the fact that he was never in office officially with respect to his qualifications. However, the problem is this is all going to fail in court because we're going to have a situation where there's a de facto officer doctrine where the courts are going to say, no, even if we were to grant that he were not in office legitimately, the Supreme Court's going to say he acted as a de facto officer. And so
which
really
Supreme Court, this current one?
Be a confrontation. This current one. So what I'm trying to say is we need this current Supreme Court. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk me through those problems. Go through that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but from a very layman perspective and, ignorant perspective, at what point do we even listen to the Supreme Court that gave the fucker immunity? And now, of course, legally speaking, it's not like literal immunity, but think about how Trump perceives it and how the public perceives it. Think about how a court that says, well, a president that speaks to his attorney general is within the rights of the power of the president, and you can't actually investigate whether or not his conversations with his attorney general are criminal in nature. Like, at what point do you say this Supreme Court is fucking invalid?
Wait, so if this is how you feel, Rashad, why are you not just actively agitating for a revolution, just a violent revolution right now?
Why? That's dumb.
Why?
Not right. I mean, like, you need a mandate. You need the public to want that. You need time to pass. Like, you can't just sit there and say, well, let's go fucking crazy. You do have to wait, because the reality is, if Trump, like, I don't know, passes now, God forbid, and he's replaced by someone more sane and tame, all of those things will be impossible because the public won't feel like they need to happen. But the reality is, these things in their worst form do lead up to actually what they are leading up to.
Okay, but
dictatorship.
It does sound like you're pushing to just like end the current system, scrap the Constitution, start something new. What is that?
No, we can amend and change things. There's no need to like.
But you just said ignore the courts. That's not amending. You're just like.
Yeah, I mean, like, at what point do you acknowledge the fact that a court, the highest court in the land, is compromised by an organization like the Heritage Foundation?
Right, that would be getting rid of the Constitution, right?
At some point, the emergencies would have to require you to actually realize that, hey, the Constitution, under normal circumstances, we could not do this or we could not do that, or Trump needs to be convicted of this particular thing in order for us to he wasn't the president.
Right.
However,
every single criticism that he has put forth is potentially institutionally manageable. This is what people are talking about: court packing, impeachments, like all of these things are technically possible.
I swear to God, bro, you drive me.
You just said he wants a revolution. He didn't say that.
He's not talking about.
He's
not talking about institutional reform, Soy Pill. Do you understand this? He's saying just ignore the court and then target Fox News.
You can 100% have.
Josiah said that. Josiah said that.
You do.
I want to say this to Hutch. Hutch, you realize that Josiah is flirting with the notion of non-acquiescence with respect
to the court. Him and I have.
Yes.
Him and I have gone back.
I know, but you're going. No. But Hutch, you would not accuse Josiah of wanting a violent revolution when he talks to you.
I would ask him the same question.
Josiah's a great guy.
I would ask him the same question. You witness us go back and forth on these issues about like preserving liberal norms and
yeah.
So I'm consistent.
I'm just saying you're being a little. No, I'm supporting Soy Pill, who's my boy. And I think that he's right, that it doesn't entail judicial
why do you guys do this? He's not talking about like passing legislation to expand the court.
My lawyer,
even if he wasn't, Hutch, even if he wasn't, so often you're talking about, especially when we're criticizing the left, like, look, this was the choice between fascism and not fascism. How the fuck are you not throwing every single fucking thing at the wall and seeing what sticks to try to get it done? And Rashad here is like, we need to take more extreme issues. This is not going to go away just because we won the midterms. It's not going to go away because of the next next election. We need a mandate of the people to poison them against the MAGA mindset, whether that's through influence, through any of these things. How can you say that's taking it too far?
Because I'll explain it to you.
People who lied us into an insurrection should face more punishment than millions of dollars that isn't going to get them. Like, they're not going to fucking blink. They're still there. They could do this again.
Bro, all of this is totally incoherent. We are already doing something right now. We're already employing a strategy to just like demolish them. You're saying, let's just throw that out, like toss out the Constitution whenever we feel.
I'm not.
Hang on. We're saying toss out the Constitution whenever we feel like.
We're not saying that.
Whenever we feel like, it's so crazy.
You just said just arbitrarily target Fox News.
Arbitrarily?
It is.
Oh my God. It's
like the crime. What is the crime?
Dude, oh my God. Why are you being this way, Hutch? Why can't you just understand?
I am a liberal. I'm a fucking liberal. That's why I don't want to end liberalism.
I want you to commit.
I'm a doctor.
Hutch, I need you to commit. In 4 years, if we're losing in the general, in 6 years, if we lose in the midterms, will you say, oh shit, maybe we needed more of a mandate? Will you say we're right? Can we hold you to that?
What is this?
Dude, you have to.
Wait, you don't agree. Do you agree with Rashad that we should ignore the courts?
No, I actually hate soy pill. I actually hate you.
Take the pill,
I love you, Hutch.
No, I hate you. Don't say that. I hate you. Fuck your ass. You have a bad ass. You have a flat ass. It's not even fucking fat and juicy.
Soy pill.
Flattest ass I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Soy pill. We can't just ignore the courts, right? If we want to change the courts, there's all right. No, but
ignore the court.
But the thing is, you're talking about Rashad's like general outlook, perhaps, but the most like inflammatory thing that was just most recently said was something approaching, let Marshall enforce his ruling, something like that. And I think that's a quite provocative thing to say, and I think that it's fair for Hutch to be not on board with that as a liberal, and I'm also not on board with that.
I was making a much more centrist version of
Rashad. Isn't JD Vance the same guy that
Rashad, please? Can I just say, what happens when we do get the power? Then the other side doesn't listen to us now. Now, how are you going to rule?
What do you mean the other side's not going to listen to us?
If we ignore the Supreme Court now and we deem it illegitimate, and then we say we're not listening to you, and then we take over the court somehow.
They're going to be in camps.
Why should the other side listen to us? Why should the other side listen to us?
There's no camps, okay? Stop the camps. You're looking at it from a very, 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 very compact perspective. I hate to sound like a fucking communist, but in theory, if you read the theory, if we reach that point, I'm sorry, but like it'll be like decades, like maybe 4 or more before like we reach the point of like people saying like, well, what if we ignore the Supreme Court? More than likely, the entire nation will realize the Supreme Court's the reason why this fat bitch came back to the presidency. In all honesty. And at some point, if you actually want to uphold liberalism, you have to understand liberalism is not just the word of the law, it's the intention of the law, the spirit of the law. And if somebody seeks to upend that or destroy that, you don't give them carte blanche to do it indefinitely. And you want the public to be able to see the signs of when someone's trying to do that. You don't want to play a game of like, well, we represent the good side of things and hopefully one day you'll see it that way. No, you need a public that can say, hold on a minute, we wouldn't have ran into that Capitol if you hadn't fucking lied. Okay. We wouldn't have been able to galvanize tangible physical force to upend and disrupt a federal proceeding had you not utilized your lies to amplify this. And Fox News, by the way, I don't know if this is true, but maybe I'd have to investigate, might have even continued hinting at it even after the insurrection. So it's important to keep in mind that like, if you love liberalism so much, you can't just wait until someone's standing above you, ready to end you before you say, well, actually, maybe.
All right, well, let's play out your scenario then. Okay, so you have President Newsom, and he instructs AG Jack Smith to indict Fox News for, you say, conspiracy to I don't know what you said. And then, okay, so now you've arrested, the fucking Murdochs or whatever, and they hire lawyers, and they go to a judge, and the judge goes, what the fuck is this? We have a First Amendment. This is insane. There's no crime here. Get fucked. What do you do?
That judge is full of shit. You can't honestly.
No, but what do you do?
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. That judge is fucking removed. Are you fucking serious?
Okay, come on.
Yeah, no. Hold on.
Liberals. Where are my fellow liberals? Is this live and learn?
Let me answer. Let me answer.
All right.
It's like
you don't want a dictatorship.
Hold on a minute. Can somebody? What did Eileen Cannon do? For Trump, what did she do?
What
For
did
that favorite?
Well, you're gonna have to be more specific than
What was that
There's
thing?
a bunch
She,
of-
what,
yeah.
what was that? What was that ruling?
There's
she
a
did?
bunch.
She
There's a
made
bunch.
that- Fuck, there was one she did where I was like,
There's
this bitch is
multiple.
crazy.
I'll
But-
tell you them real quick. So the most crazy thing she did is
Yeah.
she took jurisdiction over in the execution of the Warren and Mar-a-Lago, which was like totally fucking ridiculous and insane. She claimed that Jack Smith was invalidly appointed, and now most recently she's like purporting to permanently enjoin the release of the second volume of the Smith report. So that's just a small list of insane shit she did. She did insane shit.
So like it's kind of like this thing of like, again, do you want to follow the letter of the law because it's the law, or are you trying to follow the intention of it? Because if a judge is saying, I'm going to use my
law
legal...
is democracy, right?
Hold on. The law is democracy. However, we framed our laws in such a way to bring about a specific purpose, right? Like, what was the purpose of the laws? The laws was to create, I would imagine, a free and open society that respects the rule of law, transition of power, democracy,
individual rights.
so forth. Individual rights. When someone says, I'm going to use the purpose of this government and the power vested in me to help someone overturn all of those things, do you think it even matters a single smidget of a fuck when the actual tangible consequences of allowing those people to gain power actually seeps in? Imagine telling somebody actually suffering from this regime, well, we followed the rules of democracy.
That's why I asked you. That's why I asked you the question. Are you just?
You would want to in that scenario?
No. It was the bigger question. But the question when I asked you was, do you think liberalism is just not enough, and it's just we need a new system then, right?
Something a little bit different, but not radically. No.
Not radically, but hold on. Not radically, but if a judge gives you a ruling that you don't like, you imprison them.
A ruling that you don't like under specific circumstances. By the way, a ruling. Hold on, a ruling that you don't like. I like that wording you use. It's very dishonest. A ruling that you don't like.
Word? No, wait. Why is it dishonest? What's better wording?
A ruling in the midst of a political party trying to end democracy, and the judge who studied law knows that they are aiding and abetting in this ruling with allowing a media company that without its misinformational spread would not be able to galvanize enough of a crowd to go into the Capitol to do this.
But why not
appeal
the decision?
It's like I'm going to ignore all of the ways in which...
Why not appeal the decision? Why not appeal the decision first?
Hold on a minute. Appeal the decision. Because I recall correctly, another question was, what if the Supreme Court of the land also ruled? So it's like, at what point do you realize the system is full of people who will use their power
so dissolve the courts.
Compromise any accountability.
So dissolve the courts, right?
Your response is, well, we'll appeal it. And I suppose that if the highest court of the land also says no, you will sleep warmly at night. Knowing you respected liberalism, and no matter what consequences may come from whatever consequences may come from these people maintaining power or coming back, you can sleep soundly at night because you defend liberalism. I
think liberalism is pretty fucking dope.
That's like empty nonsensical,
I think liberalism has ushered in like unprecedented individual rights.
Who's disagreeing with you here? Like,
you're saying that it's not.
Dude, I love liberalism more than you because when somebody threatens it, I realize that sometimes changes have to be made because we're in a different era than we were in the 1700s.
Don't you realize that you're saying I love liberalism so much that I would be willing to dissolve liberalism to protect it?
That's not even what we're talking about.
That is what you're saying.
It's not.
We are 12 minutes over, and we haven't struck Iran yet. We have not talked about Iran yet. Do we want to say something real quick and Google it? This could go on forever.
I think it's chicken shit. This is so I disagree with a lot of what Rashad said about the structural changes to liberalism as such. Spiritually, I'm with him on a lot of like the fight energy. I think that there are Democrats who do that and have that energy. But here's one area where maybe I'll get spiritual agreement from Rashad. I think it's chicken shit when we have Democratic Congress people who are like, we're not going to handicap Trump on his war with Iran. Like, why the fuck do we have someone like Jared Moskowitz, maybe someone tell me if I'm wrong, saying that he's not going to sign on to a war powers resolution to at least attempt to rein in the expansionist and vision of Trump in getting us into these wars that are unconstitutional, illegal, and almost certainly in the worst interest for the area and for the United States. I just think that it's chicken shit. We shouldn't have this kind of like, go for it.
He's one of 214 Democrats in the House. We're going to have a variety of opinions.
Yeah.
We're going to even have some Israel hawks in our party. Like, I don't know, man.
Liberal
No,
is
I'm
not
just
even
saying
in
I'm going to
leadership.
call people. I hear you. I'm just saying he's like a rising star in the Democratic Party. I don't like Democrats when they. Yeah, I think he's a rising star. I think you would agree with that.
I think
You're not-
he's
you're
not
not?
in a position of power. He's on TV a lot. But my point is he's one of 214. We're going to have some people with opinions we disagree with. I mean, I just don't see that as a huge deal.
I'm not saying that I would just tell people not to vote for Jared Moskowitz in an election. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying there have been similar thing with Ossoff. Ossoff voted for the Lake and Riley Act, but and that was a mistake too. But I'm not saying I would never vote for John Ossoff. All I'm trying to say is we need to know the moment we're in, and that moment is going to, I think, be 99.9% of the time opposition to the Trump agenda. And in this case, when it comes to war with Iran, an illegal war with Iran that has not been authorized by Congress, that is being proposed, that it was already started and ended before, I think we should have unanimity against this kind of shit. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that the war would be bad, and I don't support it.
You don't support foreign wars? What's wrong with you?
I support some wars, not this one.
I
need
think
to
very
support
few
more
people.
wars.
I think very few people would support a war with Iran, Pisco. It's pretty safe to say. Both sides.
I think Trump is just using like war as like an Epstein distraction. I think at this point he's just pulling out all the stops because like this is just crazy. Like I don't even know what his
I do
deal
think you're right
Obama
about
would
that.
start a war with Iran to distract from his shortcomings. So, you know,
Yeah.
if he was projecting as he used to.
Soy Pill, I put something in the private chat, like just to give you a sense of like where he's at. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. He looks so deflated, completely low energy. Like it might be the most pathetic video of Trump ever.
Oh, okay. Let's see this.
He was sleeping at the Peace Council, which was, in my opinion, you know, I mean,
All right, you guys can see it.
low energy.
Tom Homan,
It is low energy.
Christy Nome.
He's so
all the
quiet.
People, they've been incredible. The job they've done.
Just listen.
And they take nothing but abuse, but, you know, they're sort of pretty hardened to that, I think, because they know they're doing the right thing. It just amazes me that there's not more support out there. It's just, we actually have a silent support.
Oh my God.
That's how ironic.
Oh no.
Probably 85 million votes. They say 78 million. 78 million. They cheated in this election too, which is too big to read. Too big to read.
Oh my God.
It's bad. Yeah.
It's
It's
dying.
bad. It's bad. It's bad. He's down bad.
Remember
Wolf.
this thing?
He is down bad. Wolf.
Melania has me on it. It's called Ambien. She's putting one in every single one of my.
Donald is the funniest motherfucker. He just gets up there and just lies. What the fuck is going on, dude?
78. It was 85. Frankly.
I don't know. I don't know if I have strong opinions on the Iran situation. I don't know anything about it. I don't pretend to know. I don't know.
Hutch, yes or
all
no?
I-
Would you
I don't-
support war with Iran if they were actively building a nuke and about to nuke Israel tomorrow?
I don't think you would need that, right? Like you just fucking drop some bombs again, right? I don't know. I mean, I feel kind of like ambivalent about the strikes that happened a few months ago. It seems like that was not necessarily a horrible thing.
I feel like they
What
didn't
happened?
work. Like I don't think it
Definitely didn't
worked.
work.
So I feel like the thing now is to really just like not give Israel any more impetus to try this. I think both Israel and Iran right now need to just cool the fuck off. Israel's, you know, taken land up in southern Syria. So of course we know they're looking toward expansion. We know Iran is licking their wounds from those, you know, horrible defeats with the Houthis and Hezbollah. So Trump right now should be the Prince of Peace he claimed to be, but instead, because the Epstein files are so horrid, he's now, you know, matte painting like he's in fucking a Paradox video game. So I don't know. I mean, like, I think this is an Epstein distraction. I think that's what it is. I can't imagine what else it could be. It's not because of the price of oil. That'll go down if he invades.
It's because he has like 17 worm tongues in Congress, like, you know, Mitch McConnell and like the ghost of Rush Limbaugh and Lindsey Graham all whispering like bomb Iran, bomb Iran, bomb Iran. So, you know.
It could be. I mean, I hate to be like the typical, like, you know, leftist APAC, but I mean, that's probably a part of it. You know, I mean, like when an organization has, you know, thrown, I mean, bans upon bans at people over enough time, like, you know, it's not really surprising. And of course, America's always been hawkish and people want to stop geopolitical threats. But I think it's important to keep in mind that Israel could be a geopolitical threat in the future. And we know Netanyahu has goals for the greater Israel. And we have to keep in mind that Israel is a nation with, you know, ambitions, you know, with Netanyahu, in my opinion, nationalistic, fascistic ambitions. So Iran is obviously not a sane, rational actor. I'm not going to give you like a leftist, like pretend Iran, they're all saints, but like, you know, this is clearly a geopolitical conflict that needs to simmer. Playing the long game makes more sense.
Tweet out Israel.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like Iran is more cold and ruthless, and
yeah, they're more deranged,
calculated than people. Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying I think that they're more calculated than people give them credit for.
Oh yeah, they are more. I think I've realized more recently that they are more rational actors than we might have given them credit for. Like their handling of Trump's little, like, you know, tantrum bombing was actually pretty decent. And I think they realized that they lost, Israel won, they beat Hamas, they beat the Houthis, they beat Hezbollah, and right now they're fucked. I mean, what else can they fucking do besides focus on the protests happening in their own country? I think 7,000 died. What I heard in the protest, Trump said 30,000. You know, he makes shit up, but 7,000 is a lot of fucking people to get killed in protests. So there might be enough domestic upheaval to where we don't really need to throw gasoline on the fire. We could just sit back and watch. But I think Trump seeks to kind of cleanse his image through big accomplishments that no one gives a fuck about. So I built a ballroom. I put my name on the Kennedy Center. I'm going to build a statue in the Holy Land, totally not the Antichrist. You know, I'm going to kidnap Maduro. Like, my legacy is I'm this bad motherfucker who kind of like kicks around dirt. And I don't think it's working. I don't think people see him that way. But I think that might be part of it, is that he seeks for this to be his legacy, which is regime change in Iran, which I don't think
flip-flopping around. He wanted it to be he's the peace president and I get the prize, but that's not working. So now he's like, actually, I'm the hard-ass president who wins every war in 10 seconds. So he can't pick one. It's whatever one makes him look better, and he's going to keep flip-flopping.
Yeah, he did give the kind of like, I hate to say it like this, but the kind of like school shooter response to Europe where they were like, you're not getting the prize. And he was like, well, I don't care about peace anymore. How about that? And it was like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, that was a crazy thing. It was like, okay, bro, like, you got it, bro. Like, you got it, bro. So, right. I mean, you know, he seems like, you know, war is, I think, what his intention always was. Of course, he lies, he bullshits. And I'm curious to see how MAGA reacts, because if this doesn't go the way that it did in Venezuela and troops die, this will be a significant shift for him politically, to the point where it won't be a question. If he rigs the midterms, it won't be a question that he rigged it. If he goes through with this Iran war, it won't even be a question he rigged it if they win.
I demand evidence. I'm not going full blue anon yet. I want to see the evidence of rigging.
I'm containing the blue anon. I'm really struggling not to go deep down the blue anon. But with Trump, it's not even blue anon.
Last question, like, Rashad. Wait. Last question, Rashad. Last question. Was Trump's ear hit by a bullet? Yes or no?
100%. Or glass, but mostly a bullet.
So you're not blue.
Yeah, like had to have been a bullet. Yeah, I mean, like people were like, like, if it's not a bullet, it would have to be like shrapnel. It couldn't be anything but, right? Because like people
packet in a
maybe his ear just did that.
No, people, you know, unironically, like, I know people in real life that hate Trump that are like, he totally faked it. And it's like, if Trump did that bullshit thing where he like leans back with his arms out, you know what, he's totally lying. And he's like, they tried to give me the virus. And then like, it would have hit him in the head. He would have died. So it's like, it just takes one inch to like leave this fucking realm. So no, that was a real bullet.
1 inch can make a difference. Just
I think Trump's
my girlfriend.
Actually, you know what? You know, I actually am blue anon. Trump actually is the Antichrist. I don't care what any of you say. Like, this thing of like being born on a blood moon and never being like caught doing anything and like not getting killed, like multiple dodging. Like, what more do you need to see before you realize we're not dealing with like a normal person? Like,
and that is the clip going in front of every Hutch disagreement, just so you know. We got to wrap up. We're super over. Rashad, thanks for coming on. It was wild. I'm sure Hutch will probably, in fact, Hutch DM me, said, I'm definitely having Rashad on my show every day for the next 3 weeks. So you guys can hash it out there. Where can people find you? What do you do? Anything coming up you want to plug?
You can find me on my channel, Rashad Crenshaw. Nothing to plug. Happy to be here. Great debates as always. I love Hutch's challenging of my ideals, but sorry, bro, it's blue and on for the win. So what can I say?
It's always bald on bald violence.
Bald on bald
Boy,
violence.
Rashad.
Yeah, always.
You gotta keep it going. All
True.
right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. His YouTube channel is in the description. I'm gonna.
Do you not have Twitter, Rashad?
It's complicated, but I will return one day. I will return.
He's banned for inciting violence.
Maybe.
Thanos will return.
It's what they say. This is what they say.
Okay. Thanks, Rashad. We're gonna just have the four of us now just to plug and wrap it up. So thanks, man.
Yeah.
See you around.
Thanks, Rashad. Later.
All right. Another contentious live and learn episode where some of the news is talked about. Guy, what's going on? Any last thoughts? What do you got going on this week?
Well, listen, I appreciate his enthusiasm and wanting more. I'll never discount that, and I think his heart's in the right place. I just think it's wild to look at the double-digit victories and the ass whooping we're doing right now and say we got to do something totally different because we're going to lose years from now. That to me is a little bit losing the plot right there, and only the Democratic Party could come up with that one. So it's a bit frustrating. But, you know, it is what it is. But anyways, I appreciate his spirit. And I think, like I said, his heart's in the right place. I don't have anything to plug.
Cheerleaders. I think that's the cheerleader.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But when I ask him who would be better than Hakeem Jeffries out of all 214 of them, and he says, nobody,
No
you've
one.
lost me and many people. I'm sorry.
We
Come
lost
on, man.
you.
We got to live
Yeah.
in reality, dude. We got to live in reality. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
all
Well,
good,
yeah. So just TikTok debates then for the week.
Yes, if you guys want to see me debate some MAGA, please follow me on TikTok. I'm really reporting on my YouTube, and I'm doing it every day. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right, for sure. Peace go.
Yeah, thank you. Similar to IRI, I thought, and also probably Hutch, I thought some of the statements were pretty wild, especially like the liberal stuff, which I'm sure triggered Hutch a bunch.
The lead liberal.
And even though, like, spiritually, I do think Democrats should be doing more. I don't go so far as to be like, everything needs to be different. I would tweak leadership in Congress. I would tweak some decisions made by Democrats. And I would significantly increase the baseness and the riz if possible. But I don't go so far as to say, like, oh, we're fucking up majorly in a way that's, like, irrecoverable. I do think that we're in a good position. I'm optimistic. I think we can win. I think we will be able to defeat Trump. And I think that we're going to have to do it, and we will be doing it with a lot of the Democrats that we currently have. It's just about, I think, making some significant changes and some tweaks. But yeah, you can find me on my channel. I'm still recovering from, like, I don't know if it was cold or flu or COVID. It hit me pretty hard in the last few days. But we'll be talking more about the Supreme Court decision on tariffs, especially Justice Gorsuch's opinion and the quote from the dissents. But yeah, thank you so much. Follow me at Pisco Liddy.
All right, Hutch, what's going on?
Nothing matters. Who cares? What the
We blackpilled the fuck out of you.
be gay, do crimes. Who fucking gives a shit?
I saw your clip. You're watching. I think it was Bosch talking about, like, and they're throwing the trans under the bus, and you're just like, what reality is this? What, I can just lie. I just want to lie on my streams now. I'll be whoever I want.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? Just say whatever. Fucking who cares? Dissolve the courts. Yes, let's do that. Yes. You guys are gaslighting me. I swear to God. We're announcing a new name change.
Oh,
We're changing the name of the pot.
Gaslight and
Shit
learn.
where it's like his heart was in the right place, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? If that was a MAGA person talking about dissolving
Wait,
the
you
court,
disagree?
yes, I fucking disagree. Why are
With
you
IRI?
clubs with these people who say this crazy shit, man? It is driving me fucking insane. I love you guys. I'm sorry.
So
I apologize.
I think what IRI is saying isn't that, like, he agrees with him. I think he said the opposite. I think he's just saying that he understands the anger and frustration. As, by the way, I'm just going to tell you, a lot of my chat does as well. They're like, Rashad base. Not necessarily because the ideas are good. I don't think they are. And I think IRI was so frustrated that he had to stand up and leave his chair. That's how frustrated he was by some of the comments that were being made. I think what IRI is saying is the sentiment is one where people feel strongly that they want more to be done. And I think that's what he means.
Sure.
Yeah, like my final thoughts of this, like, I overlap with the energy 100%, but the policy and prescriptions, definitely not a lot of those. Like, I don't know how you just ignore a judge, right? Like, you can't do that. But people are worried right now that long term, You let these people get away with it, and they do it again. Would this literally happen? Trump ran again. He shouldn't have been able to run again. I don't know how we stopped him from doing that. I don't know if that was a attorney general dropping the ball. I don't know if it ever would have worked. But it just seems like this is an inadequate amount of winning long term. I'm so happy we're fucking gonna kill it in the midterms, but I'm worried that you lose the populace with their goldfish memory in 5 years, and then what the fuck are you supposed to do?
Right? Yeah, but isn't this
deal with that in 10 years?
Isn't this a little bit like complimenting Jeffrey Dahmer on his fucking table manners?
Hey, if he's got, look, Hitler loved dogs, okay, and I love dogs.
Don't you think?
And I'm not saying this is an indication
Jeffrey,
that all their ideas.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
We're doing a different Jeffrey.
Is Rashad Jeffrey Dahmer?
A different Jeffrey this week, not the other Jeffrey. We're doing a new Jeffrey. You don't think you're saying?
Hey, wait, yeah, you would vote for.
You don't think you're saying washing?
Jeffrey,
you don't think?
Right?
You don't think? Hold on. You don't think you're saying washing to like just be nice and civil or whatever?
What do you mean? To Rashad?
When you say stuff like, well, you know, his heart's in the right place. When he says he wants to dissolve the courts and, you know, arbitrarily attack like media, you know.
I don't agree with his method, but I think the end goal is similar to exactly where you and I want to get, Hutch.
No,
where he wants to
not,
implement progressive policy. He wants to see more people succeed. He wants to see America do well.
No.
His plan, I don't think it's going to work, but I appreciate the spirit of what he's aiming for.
No, Hutch, back to the point. You're like,
the court thing, Josiah is the same.
Well, he's saying taking liberalism and hoping to God the guardrails will always work. He thinks that's not taking fascism seriously. He's saying sometimes you do have to break the rules. I don't necessarily agree, but that doesn't. That he's saying you're being too careful. That's where we're coming at. This isn't like a tanky re-education campaign.
You're still stonewashing right now. That's what you're doing. He wants a benevolent dictator. That's what he wants. You guys don't see that for some reason. That's what he wants. He wants a dictator that's on our side.
He said that, or you're saying that he said that, or he wants
Kisco, what does it mean to be a dictator?
I understand dictator to be where all political power is in the hands of one person.
Yeah, that means like just dissolving the courts when they don't like throw Fox News producers in jail. That's just a benevolent dictator. That's what he wants.
Okay, but we acknowledge there are reasons to get rid of a judge for illegitimate decisions, right?
I'm gonna Minecraft myself. If
are you? No, because seriously,
God,
like, when you look at the
one
stuff,
more word,
I'm
going to Minecraft myself.
Oh my God, okay.
Well, I'm just saying, just if the opinion is about ignoring the courts, that's Josiah's opinion. You wouldn't say that about Josiah.
What makes you think that I would not call out Josiah like right away and be like, Josiah, that's crazy?
No. You wouldn't say Josiah supports a dictator because he believes in non-acquiescence to the courts.
It depends on what he says. I don't know the context, but it depends on what he says.
The point is, you boiled it down to it's because the judge said something he doesn't like, but he views it as a judge is enabling fascist takeover. Against legal precedent. That's what he's interpreting it as.
Yeah, but a core element of liberalism is the rule of law. And so if you have a crime...
Okay, Rashad is awful. Rashad is awful. Rashad, we hate Rashad.
We had the conversation. You should hash it out with him on your show. I want to see more of it. I was thoroughly entertained. But we got to go. We're way over, guys. Thank you so much. I think I might have a debate on Wednesday. I don't fucking know. I'm working on my new video. It's got to be out by the end of February. Love you guys all. Defend liberalism with our lives.
Much love.
And
hey,
Rashad. Oh, he already left. Rashad said Hutch is my G, which is his version of Hutch is my boy. So we're good.